episode of Questlog. It's a weekly show about video games, old and new. My name is Tyler Everett, and this is episode 61, our Game of the Year 2017 surprise show awesomeness. Yay! Do it, Crane. Do the thing. Yes!
There it is.
It made sound. Did you go out and buy one just for this?
No, I got a sound thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Joining me as always is the Maxwells, Brian and Kat. How's it going?
Good.
Welcome.
Well, 2017 was a real shit show for games, but we'll scrape a few of them together for this.
We'll dig around in there and try to find something to talk about.
I'll just bring up a Steam, advertisement queue, and we'll just make those the top games. It's fine.
Been through that carousel. Well, joining us always to scrape the bottom of the barrel, Luke Phillips. How's it going, Luke?
Hey, I'm fantastic. Warm. Got a nice cozy blanket on.
Yeah, are you? That's good. Boy, it sure is frigid cold in Michigan right now. Like sub-zero temperatures. Be a real shitty time to have your furnace die, wouldn't it?
Yeah, would be.
Yeah, boy.
Would be.
That would be
Wouldn't
awful.
want that.
Yeah.
That hypothetical situation is rough.
I would hate to try to host a Game of the Year podcast while my toes were freezing off. That would be unfortunate. It's a good thing.
Would it be terrible to try to
be professional about it.
Wouldn't it be terrible to try to stream something on Twitch while you're getting frostbite?
Yeah, it would be. So that's why I'd like to direct you all to my GoFundMe page. I'm just kidding.
We'll get some donations.
Yeah.
Actually, this is a more legitimate GoFundMe than I think I've seen in a long time, Tyler.
Keep my toesies warm. And Aaron Kring, of course. Aaron Kring is with us as well, bringing the sound and bringing the laughs. How's it going, buddy?
It's going fantastically.
Swimmingly, even.
Yeah.
Your house looks nice and warm.
Actually, it's not. It's very cold in this room.
That's too bad. Well, hey, before we dive right into our favorite games of 2017, you, the listener, yes, you, probably, there's a good chance, sent us your favorite games of 2017, and I wanted to take a minute to highlight some of the games that you guys played this year. Let's start off with not Mike Monroe.
Wait, you don't have music for this?
No, I don't. God.
Oh my God.
He's already driving this thing straight into the ground.
Shut it down. We're done here.
Oh, man. Anyway,
Fuck.
Mike Monroe says, here's his best of 2017 in order. Slime Rancher. That is very fun, chill life simulation game where you capture different slime creatures and harvest their poop for money. Who doesn't want to do that?
Can confirm.
Farming Simulator 2017. He says, I know what you're thinking, why, but it was fun to just get lost in the game and grow some stuff. Mike, I know growing stuff can be a lot of fun.
Do you know this?
And I believe you, and I celebrate our differences. That sounds wonderful. Alex, he said, is definitely an acquired taste, which is really saying something, because, boy, if you Google Alex and look at some reviews, people don't have a whole lot of nice things to say about it. So I'm glad that you were able to find some fun in that giant mess of a thing.
I'm starting to feel like Mike's list is the list of Game of the Year of that kid who's like 10 years old and their parents only bought him like 3 games this year, and whatever it was, they played the crap out of it.
Slime Rancher's on my top 10.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Shut your whore mouth.
And his overall favorite game he played is Ark. Now, Ark wasn't a brand new release to 2017, but they just released some Aberration DLC, and it revamped his interest in the game. He said, many hours have gone into this game. It never ceases to be fun. Thank you, Mike, for sending that in. We really appreciate it. Next, I've got one from Andrew. Let me go back here. Whoa, shit, that's the wrong email. Let's see. At number 10, Andrew's got Little Nightmares. Number 9, Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. Mm-hmm. Number 8, The Evil Within 2. Number 7, What Remains of Edith Finch. Number 6, Super Mario Odyssey. Number 5, Wolfenstein 2, New Colossus. Number 4, Persona 5. Number 3, Cuphead. Number 2, Breath of the Wild. And number 1, Divinity Original Sin 2. Divinity 2 Original Sin.
Nice list.
That's a hell of a list, Andrew. Nice work. Thank you for sending that in. I got one here from the Robert Young, friend of the show, guest on a few weeks back. Rob says, let's see. Oh, man. Hold on. This email's a lot longer than I thought it was. All right,
Great to know that Tyler reads them before the show.
Might have to,
This is at the hour 11 here. I'm
might have to do the Reader's Digest
I'm
version.
going to give you the
of
Reader's Digest. Gorn. He said he doesn't like the idea of putting a non-finished game on the list, but he had a whole bunch of fun with it. Gorn was that one where it's like a VR arena combat game. Looked really cool. Super Mario Odyssey, definitely worthy of a spot on the list. Ghost Recon Wildlands. That's the one we talked about a couple weeks ago, where the freaking Predator shows up to hunt people in the game. That's pretty crazy. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Destiny 2, Tekken 7. We don't really have a whole lot of fighting game people at all in our midst here. So it's cool to see Tekken get some love, because I hear that it's a fantastic game. Injustice 2 on his list as well, another DC fighting game. Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. That game looks so cool. I cannot wait to play it. I'm going to get it eventually here. I'm going to snatch that up. Horizon Zero Dawn makes his number 2 spot, and Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice at number 1 for him.
Wow.
That's
Dark
pretty
Horse.
cool. Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that is... Nope, I got one more. And Ryan, also guest of the show before, Ryan Romaine. He's got Shadow of War at number 5, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 at number 4, Pyre at number 3, Assassin's Creed Origins. Yeah, I was surprised to see another Pyre fan out there. Assassin's Creed Origins at number 2, and Horizon Zero Dawn at number 1. Horizon getting a lot of love on everyone's list here this year, so pretty cool. Thank you guys so much for sending that stuff in. Everyone emailed the show at mail@questlogcast.com. You too can send us mail. Send us your favorite games from the year, what you're looking forward to, your favorite type of pizza, and we'll tell you that you're wrong. Whatever you want, send it right on in, and we will read it on the show. But now, the moment you've all been waiting for, let's get into our favorite games of 2017. All right, so our first category, Old Game of the Year. So this is a non-2017 release that was either new to us or maybe a game that's been out for a while that you've continuously been playing and got a lot of enjoyment out of. Let's start off with Luke. What was your old game that you enjoyed the most this year?
Easily Wolf Among Us.
The Wolf Among Us.
Utterly fantastic and brilliant. And if it was released in 2018, probably would have been my game of the year for 2018. I'm sorry, 2017.
So remind me, Brian, did you just decide to buy this for everyone? Was that the deal?
Yeah. Yep.
Got like a real good deal on it, and
very cheap, and one of those deals where it's like, I want you guys to play this. I will give you a copy and guilt you into playing it.
Here, just fucking play it, will you, please?
Will you trust me, please?
Play it now. I don't have any more money. Play it.
Yeah, I'm glad you did, because this one was high on my list too. This was a tough category this year because we all kind of dipped our toes into some older stuff too, and I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, we did the thing where we all kind of played it at the same time, which I think is the perfect way to do these.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was awesome to compare our stories to see how they differed.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a fun thing to do.
Kat and Kring, you guys both had this as your pick for old game of the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was a fantastic little thing. I haven't really gotten into the other Telltale stuff, so this was my first one of those. It's the same, it's an adventure game. It's very similar to stuff like Life is Strange and some of the other stuff we've played, but yeah, the storytelling, the arches, the different arcs in the story, and just the whole visual, sound design, voice acting, all top
The
notch.
facial animations were really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
For me, the big draw was the world itself. You've got this fairy tale world, but they're in this gritty, crappy version of the real world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was something pretty neat to see.
You should play The Walking Dead one of these days. The Walking Dead is just as good.
Yeah. I think if there was a way to get my wife to check out video games, it might be that, because she's a huge Walking Dead fan, and I feel like this would be one of those things where like the story and just the way it's presented. You don't have to
Yep.
be great at quick time events or combat or any of that kind of stuff. It's just kind of
Time
experience
events.
the story and it kind of
Should
adapts
probably
to your
dig it.
choices.
It's really well done.
Yeah, good stuff. Brian, what was yours? What was your top old game?
Mine ended up being Fez.
Fez. That's
I got into it
surprising.
earlier this year for a little bit, and I read some things that kind of made me realize that the designer was kind of a dick.
Yeah, I thought you hated Phil Fish.
Yeah, he seems like
I
he's
think
not
everyone
great,
does.
Yeah, even
but I
Phil
came back
Fish.
to it recently, and it's just
yeah.
it's such a brilliant game. Just the design is, it's he's a dick, but it's a very clever thing, and my son latched right onto this game. Like he heard me playing it and came and sat with me for hours.
That is cool. Being able to share something like that, and there was times where you describing like you kind of bashed your head against some of the platforming or puzzles, and he took a look at it and was just like, "Oh, you just right there. You go where I think it was the rain. You were saying there's a spot where like rain
Yeah.
or water was falling on one of the platforms and you couldn't see it, and he saw it right away, and was like that's really cool. It's
Yep,
just kind
and
of
he likes
clicking for him.
spatial puzzles. I'm not good at this kind of like spatial thinking, but he
Mhm.
is. So
Mhm.
That's really cool.
Neat.
That is neat. For me, let's see. It was Stardew Valley.
Oh yes,
Mhm.
Tyler.
You put a lot of hours into that game.
I put a whole lot, and if I hadn't
You put-
forgot my Switch at work, I could have told you exactly how many hours I put into it. But
Not enough.
I'm glad you finally got to see what I see.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's funny because like the platform matters, like the medium matters to me. We got into kind of like a philosophical discussion earlier in the year about like, well, what makes a game a console game versus a PC game versus a mobile game or whatever. And
Yeah, you were like, like when I sit down on my PC, this isn't the kind of experience I'm looking for. And
Yep.
I'm just like, I don't understand you, Tyler Everett.
Yeah. And
All
it
right.
doesn't make a ton of sense because I ended up playing this game like pretty hardcore. It became a not very casual thing. I was doing it as often as I could, but
I kind of have organization envy with your whole farm game.
I'm real proud of the way my farm turned out too. Like that was another thing I didn't think I'd care about at all, and I ended up putting like all of these fences and stuff up that are completely just they're not functional in any way. They don't like serve a real purpose other than they look pretty. And they just organize everything in a way that makes sense to my brain. But yeah, it's Stardew Valley's cool. It's a cool game. If you have a Switch or a PC, you should check it out. Even if you don't think you'd like really goofy, fruity farming simulator type games, it's definitely worth a play. So yeah, I think that rounds out what our best old games of 2017 are.
Mm-hmm.
Let's instead find my document and talk. We'll switch gears and talk about what the biggest shit show of 2017 was. So, Brian, if you were to pick one thing to call your biggest shit show, what would you say it would be?
It might be cheating, but I think it's EA, Electronic Arts.
It's just EA in general.
It's just
Like,
EA.
I mean,
Yeah,
it is.
I think we all picked this.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it's just EA.
first with Mass Effect Andromeda, they rushed it out the door
Yeah.
way early, I think, to get it in, like at the end of the fiscal year. And boy, apart from the character animations being janky and screwed up, that game was just full of bugs. And even apart from that, like I understand that it's just not good. Like they killed a franchise. They killed Mass Effect.
Yeah.
And they said they're not going to make any other Mass Effect games anytime soon. Like there's not one planned.
Wow.
I'm sure we'll see one someday, but
And more than that, like they set up like story beats, threads to follow up on for like
Yep.
DLC
they
and
set up
and
DLC.
stuff, and then just canceled all of
Scrapped
it.
it all.
Like the studio that made it is, or I'm sorry, no, it's a BioWare game, so I don't think the studio got shut down. But like, yeah, EA said they're shelving the franchise for now. Like
Yep.
we're not gonna see one.
So what happened with that to make it so bad?
I
I
mean, it's,
think they had to get it in under the book. Like they didn't want it on the books for 2018. They probably didn't have a budget for it, and they were like, "Look, you know, this is when it's coming out."
yeah, I think it's one of those cases of EA just mismanaging their studios and their properties and trying to hit deadlines and budgets.
Yeah,
and
look
stuff.
at that.
What is happening?
There's a dude standing in the air shooting, and they're also dead and floating away, but they're still standing there shooting.
You see, they had to release Mass Effect so that they could have money to design Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yep, that's the other half of that shit show.
Yeah. Yeah. If it was just the fact that EA managed to kill off one of their most successful and beloved franchises, that would be enough. But then they went and decided to fuck with Star Wars too.
Yep, and I understand how that one played out, like why it played out the way it did, but it still doesn't make it okay. I mean, EA gets a lot of income from their sports franchises, like from FIFA. Like I guess there's microtransactions in that, and they make a shit ton of money every month on that. So I think they kind of want to do that with all their games.
But microtransactions in some of those games make sense because
Yeah.
of the style, the type of game that it is. Microtransactions and MMOs and in first-person shooters, they make more sense than.
And it could have made sense here too, but I think
I mean,
Disney
and
said
loot
no, like
boxes,
no
too.
costumes.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't want him to, have Darth Vader in a bunny suit riding a bicycle. So
Why?
they said
Why?
no
That sounds
cosmetic
Yeah,
DLC.
why? Come
They
on.
said no cosmetic DLC. So they're like, well, what are we gonna do? Let's tie character progression to card draws and blind card packs.
No.
I think part of that too is not even like, even if they wanted to, there was going to be a very specific set of like, okay, well you can have Luke in his dust planet Tatooine outfit, or you can have this, but all of those things like they have to submit every single design to Disney to have it run through their panels or whatever and have it approved and sent back and stuff. The kind of time frame they'd be working on to try to get this stuff out there isn't feasible. Like you need to be able to iterate on that stuff and keep people cranking stuff out, and I just don't think it would have been possible. So
Why couldn't they have just used like existing costumes? Luke had how many
Right.
different costumes in
Right.
the films?
I know.
So have all of the characters had so many different costumes in the films. So why couldn't those costumes from the films? I mean, it's not cosmetic DLC in like Darth Vader riding around in a bunny suit on a bicycle, but it's cosmetic
Right.
DLC in that it's canon. It's canonical.
Oh. The other part
There
of it is how
probably
they
wasn't
handle
enough outfits for their long-term
it. Like
plan.
Oh, so they were too greedy.
They dug
they
too greedily.
changed the entire economic system like hours before it launched.
Yeah, and
They didn't though.
They did.
really didn't. I mean, they did, but they didn't.
Well, then they took it away, which like they scaled it back a bunch and then they just shut it off, which
But when-
makes me
but when
think
they
like they
scaled it-
set they were like, let's set it up as high as we can and see if we can really gouge them, and if they complain we'll just turn it down. Like that
So,
seemed like a
yeah,
really
but
fast
they-
decision to me.
But they scaled it back so that like these things would cost 75% less than what was
And then
originally
nerfed the
intended.
rules.
But you were also getting 75% less than you were going to get for completing the campaign. So
Mhm.
it didn't do anything.
yeah.
It just scaled everything back.
I think it all blends together to form a narrative that is EA doesn't understand what people want. They seem to be going off of like small focus test groups and industry analysis and things like that, and seem
You
kind
want to
of
feel the pride of unlocking Darth Vader. Like you want to put 40 hours into that and say, "Look at what I did."
it's just
Sense of pride
step
and accomplishment.
step after step they've managed to continually make the wrong decision, and it leads to very serious real world stuff like shuttering studios and tanking their entire economy for games and all of this stuff. And it's a bummer because like your average Joe, someone who just walks out and sees like, oh shit, there's a new Star Wars game, like that person will probably get something out of a game like this, even if they don't want to engage with the the online stuff and progression, whatever. If they just want to play through and shoot some stuff in a Star Wars game, it might still be okay. but like
And
the
and
internet
part of-
has just totally ripped them a new one because they don't know how to respond to feedback. They don't know how to react to this stuff. So, yeah, they're
But the part-
definitely the
the-
biggest shit show.
The part of it that sucks the worst, though, is that I've heard outside of their shitty ecosystem that they've created here, it's not a bad game. It's a pretty competent
I've heard
single
it's
player. It's pretty
so-so.
well done, and
Yeah.
The core of it,
And-
the shooting, like running around and shooting
Yeah,
stuff
that's
with
what I mean.
Star Wars
It-
laser
like-
swords and guns is
the gameplay
fine.
stuff's all solid and fun to do, and that's where the developer comes into play. They build that, but now they're going to be the ones that get
Yeah.
shut down or
Everybody who
or
bust-
screwed by EA and the people who made these stupid ass decisions that get to continue to sit in the boardroom.
Yep. So EA, congratulations on winning the Best Shit Show of 2017 award from
Are they
us.
going to win? Did
So
they,
did
did they
it.
win? Did they win Worst Company of the Year too?
If not
this
this
year?
year, they have in the past. Several
They have in the
times.
past, but
So what was a bigger shit show? Battlefront 2 or The Last Jedi?
We're gonna lose our listeners, Luke.
I'm not gonna. This isn't about a movie. This is about games. No comment.
Hypothetical question.
No comment.
We'll move on. We'll move on.
Last Jedi, and I'm willing to die on that hill.
Thanks, Kring. Send your emails
welcome.
to Aaron Kring at. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's pretty. How about best character? Best character, Luke. I'd like.
Yeah.
Who do you think was the best character in the game
So-
for 2017?
I went pretty cheap on this because I had a real hard time picking who was the best character, so I decided why not pick a character that I was role-playing.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Luke Phillips, 2017's best character.
So I picked Red Prince from Divinity Original Sin 2.
You know, I kind of like that. That's pretty cool. And here's why. Here's why I'll tell you why. Because that is something I noticed immediately is like the way they give you the options to play your character as the character is written by like giving you dialogue options specifically for that character is pretty unique. Most of these games, like your Skyrims and your big open world RPGs, it's not that tailored. Like you can pick from a few different answers, but it's all kind of the same canned responses. If you're a rogue, if you're a Argonian, whatever, like you still have the same dialogue choices. Where this is actually specific to the different pre-created characters.
And it goes a step further than that, and the fact that a lot of times there's dialogue for asshole Red Prince and scholarly Red Prince.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, it does start branching off of that because
Yeah.
all I
Yeah.
ever met was asshole.
No,
Yeah,
when
like
you
in the
actually
dialogue
play as
options,
him,
it'll
you
say,
have
like-
multiple options for that actual character.
Oh, that's
Yeah, he's a jerk,
fascinating. Yeah, he's a jerk.
and he is a jerk, but his voice actor is great. Like he's
Yes.
Oh yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's very well acted, and he's a very believable character. So,
I wish my computer ran this.
Luke, when you and I were we played a little bit one night after a show, and I started over again, and I came up behind the Red Prince on the beach, and I was like, wonder if I can just straight up just kill him. Like I wonder if I can just kill him right from the start. And Luke's like, I don't know, probably. And sure enough, I snuck up behind him and just walloped him with my sword and took another hit. And yeah, Red Prince ain't in my game.
Yeah, I think you can kill anyone in the
He's
game.
dead.
Oh.
Yeah, I've not ran across anyone that you've not been able to kill so far. But
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He's an awesome character, and just his story as you being a prince exiled and wanting to go back to your people and your goddess. It's been fantastic. It's been a great ride so far.
That's
He was my
actually,
nemesis for my character.
that's actually incredibly impressive that they've managed to put this game together and make it work where you can kill whatever character you want and it doesn't matter who.
It feels like it
Like-
adapts to anything. Like it
Yeah,
just
that's
keeps
impressive.
going. It's pretty cool. Yeah. What about you, Kring? Who's your favorite character of 2017?
The only character that matters, it's Aloy.
Aloy. This
Sorry.
was yours too,
Horizon-
Kat.
Yes.
Horizon Zero Dawn was a fantastic game, and Aloy was the best character in that game. and the everything about that character, and maybe it's the game, because the animation was done so well, especially for the dialogue scenes. The voice acting was incredible in that game.
Yeah,
Ashley
And-
Birch.
Ashley Birch is amazing.
Yeah, Ashley Birch is fantastic, and I loved everything about her character. It was
Her hair is the
depth.
same color as the tall grass.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's important.
It's important. So yeah, she was just a great character.
Very multi-dimensional. Like
Yes.
she's got so many things going on, and the way she handles herself, I believe, is just fascinating. And that just kind of made her my character of the year.
And the thing that also got me was the moment you thought you had her character all figured out, they threw
Right.
something else in there that totally changed your entire view of this character and what she was all about.
Yep.
Brian, what is happening over there
Nothing.
right now?
This is fine.
Look
It's
away.
our cat.
Our kitty's on my lap, and he just
He rubs on
sniffed the microphone.
everything.
Yeah,
All we hear is,
yeah, yeah. Got my Bartleby on my lap.
that's awesome. Man, what else do I got here?
Tyler, what you
Yeah.
got is you got to go get a PlayStation and play Horizon Zero Dawn, so you know what
Yes.
we're talking about. That's what you got to do.
The temptation has never been greater. But
Just
instead,
don't get a furnace.
I'm gonna just don't get a furnace. So I should see if the people will throw in a PlayStation 4 with my furnace purchase. I feel like that's fair. Like it's a pretty big deal. Some kind of rebate. Oh man. Hey, instead though, I'm gonna tell you guys about a little game, a little character called May Borowski. Okay,
Mhm.
from a little game called Night in the Woods. Okay. May Borowski is a cat, but that's not what's important. May Borowski is a college dropout who's got some shit going on in her small town, and she's one of the most believable characters that I've ever played as in a game. She's written extremely well.
Agreed.
The unique thing, and I'll talk more about the game in general later, spoilers, but the thing that made May special, even beyond the other characters in the game for me, was they don't let you make the right choice all the time. Like you get choices to make for dialogue options, and there's several times where I was sitting there like, none of these are the right thing to say. Like all of these are
Right.
going to piss that character off, and I don't want to piss that character off.
But
and
that's who May is.
And
Like,
that's that moment where it clicked for me, and I was like, this game is smarter than most, and they don't just take the easy way out and give you the right option to make you.
Right.
You have to pick the wrong option.
May is not the hero in every encounter at all.
You don't get to finish the game as just the all good ending. You don't get to make all of the right choices and get happy ending C or whatever. Like
Yeah.
you're playing as a character, and I love that about this game. Brian, yours is from Night in the Woods too, and this
Yeah,
was
mine was
almost
B.
my character as well. Yeah, B is awesome.
Yeah, yep. I liked B a lot just because at first when you meet her, she just seems like such a bitch. Like it just seems so random. Like she's driving you home, and you're like you ask about her parents, and she's like, "My parents," and she pulls the car over, and she's like, "Get out." And you're like, "My house isn't for a few blocks," and she's like, "I know where you live. Get out." Like, okay, well, I don't know why you hate me, but
Fuck that crocodile.
yeah, B has a pretty good arc.
yeah.
There's multiple times where B's character, she's like the most relatable to me. Like a lot of her struggles are very, very relatable and very real, and the
Yeah.
writing in this game is just phenomenal. Yeah. Everyone play Night in the Woods, please.
I have dabbled in it very, very slightly, and what I saw of May, I loved, but I haven't played all that much. What I saw of it, I loved, and I really do want to get back to playing this game, but I have this giant stack of things on my PlayStation that I just can't stop playing.
Yeah.
It's about 7 or 8 hours. If you don't, spend 4 hours in the Demon Tower, it's
Yeah,
Knock it out
don't get
quick.
sucked into the Demon Tower, or do, because it's great. But yeah, you can shave a few hours off of there. If you don't try to 100% no death, no hits challenge the fucking Demon Tower game. on May's laptop.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Or you can have those glorious achievements that not many people have, guys.
Prestige.
Stop being scrubs. Get on my level.
Tyler feels a sense of pride
Yeah.
in those.
Yeah. I do. Fight me. In Demon Tower. Try. Oh, okay. Here's a big one, guys. We're gonna get after best story. Ready, set, go. Who wants to go first? I'll let you pick. Reader's choice. Don't fight over it.
I'm not gonna say what's best, but I'm definitely gonna say Luke is wrong.
Okay. Which one is
That's
Luke's?
a bold statement.
Which one is Luke's best story?
What's DOS 2?
Divinity Original Sin 2.
Oh.
Yep.
Just on the sheer fact that you've killed the Red Prince and now he's not in your game, and so your story is completely different than Luke's. How can it be best story when it's completely different?
Precisely why it's the best. Sorry.
Is
continue,
it?
Luke.
Okay, go ahead.
The story's the best because it can be so adaptable per player.
I agree.
That's
It
a
is
good
neat.
point. It does adapt well because I play a different character than everyone here, and I've got a completely different story.
Yep. Me and Luke are seeing different angles from the same story. It's kind of neat.
Yeah. So there's 4 people here who have played this game, and we each had a different experience.
All right,
yes.
I'm sold. I'm just not gonna play it.
That's
Well,
fine.
we know, Crane.
That's probably the right choice.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm going to go up first. And yes, Original Sin 2, best story of the year so far. 40 hours into it, so no, I've not seen the ending. So admittedly, I haven't seen the full story of it. But I tell you, every side quest feels important in this game.
Oh, really?
And just right off the bat, the storyline of the other characters just leave you in this "what the fuck is going on" moment.
Mm-hmm.
And like, for example, Fane, the undead guy, you kind of get a little understanding of what happened to his people.
Eternal, please.
He's on the boat, right?
Undead is
And
not the right
One of the
nomenclature.
people you talk to on the boat.
And going through and just reading his logbook,
Right.
it's just like,
Is
oh my god, like that's kind of crazy.
he the one on the boat where you talk to him and you're like, oh my god, the ship's sinking, and he's like, yeah, I don't give a shit. I'm a skeleton. I'll just walk home.
Yep. Yeah, he doesn't care
Oh,
about.
I didn't get that dialogue at all
lives
with
at
him.
all.
Yeah, he's like your kind have this problem where you need to worry about breathing, and that's not a thing that I care about at all. So I'll just walk my ass right to shore. Thanks though.
I didn't get that dialogue with him. That's neat.
It's pretty cool.
So yeah, I mean, there's cutscenes that I've seen that just kind of blew my mind so far. It's great. I want to dig back into it. I was playing it up until like 20 minutes before we went live.
Yeah. Yeah, you've been clocking some mad hours in this thing, and hearing you talk to Brian about like going back and forth, like, hey, did you do this? No? Oh, I did this one and this happened, and like just like hearing how the story changes depending on whose character is doing what and who's alive in your game versus his. It's all really cool. And when I eventually get through that and just fight everything, it's going to be interesting seeing what I miss out on because I'm just leaving a wake of corpses behind me.
Yeah,
I think the
earlier
main story beats are the same.
Yeah.
Like the very main
Yeah.
story beats are the same, but everything else seems different for me and Luke, because every time, like he asks me or I ask him about a certain event, it's just like, no, I don't remember that.
Yep. You'll get to a certain part, you're like, oh yeah, a tree, yeah. It was a tree, yeah. Or like there's like one specific thing that you can jump off from, but then
Yeah.
you guys had totally different encounters. It's cool. That's cool. Well, I won't talk a whole lot about it because we kind of summed it up in characters, but Night in the Woods was mine, and it's specifically because the characters are so believable. Honestly, the overall story I don't think was the strongest point. I think it's the
Same.
for me, the little
Character
stories, the interaction between the couple characters, the different events that they experience together. It's all written better than most other games that I've ever played.
Yeah,
Life
easily.
is Strange comes to mind as like that was a great story that kept me going through it, but the moment to moment dialogue wasn't very believable. It was the bigger picture stuff I was interested. Whereas here, I'm like dying when I wake up in the morning to run downstairs to talk to mom to see what she has to say, because those little bits of dialogue are perfect. Or coming home and sitting on the couch and watching TV with May's dad. What is it? Garbo and Malloy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's this little show that they watch, and it's all done so well. There's so much attention to detail.
And all the side characters, like all their dialogue, is just as good as the main characters. Like every little NPC that you meet that doesn't mean anything to the story, it's all authentic. It all feels authentic.
Yeah, right. Selmer's giving you her street jam poetry when you walk by.
Fruit snacks by the train tracks.
The snack shack.
Yeah.
I like the snack shack.
The snack falcon.
Snack falcon.
Where Greg works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. So that's my pick for best story. What about you, Kat?
It's okay. I got him.
Mine was Edith Finch.
Oh yeah.
Just because of the way that it literally walks you through the story of what tragic things happen to every single person in the family, and the way the house is built, and the way that you find the little things within the room, and finding things about your relatives. And I pegged exactly what was going on right at the beginning. Like, I knew who she was talking to. So for me, I don't know, that was best story for me. It was a tie between Horizon and Edith Finch, because Horizon's just good all around, but
the house was cool.
Edith Finch was different enough for me to make that my best story.
Yeah. This one was at the top of my list for a long time, and I eventually decided that Night in the Woods was just a hair above it in my recollection.
This was a hard category.
But, yeah, there's a lot of cool stories this year. But yeah, the way Edith Finch tells these little vignettes through the eyes of each different member of her family, and goes through how they met their end is very, very cool and memorable.
I like
and sometimes hilarious.
Yeah, I like the artwork. Some of them were funny. Some of them were like literally like I can't remember which one it was. I had to walk away.
The Gregory one.
The Gregory one. I had to walk away.
That was rough.
And it was so well done. Like, it pulled at, like, it physically hurt me. Like,
yep.
The Lewis's story was the one for me. I was like, boy, that hits a little bit too close to home. That was real.
Yeah.
That was real rough.
Yep.
Yep. There's definitely highs and lows, and yeah. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Crane? Go ahead.
I was actually a lot like I was a lot like Kat. I was going back and forth between Horizon and Edith Finch, and there was a long time where I thought Edith Finch was going to be my game of the year.
It's the Firewatch of the Year award.
It is the Firewatch of the Year award, but I ended up going Horizon Zero Dawn because of the way it's the most believable story to me, and it does a twist on the post-apocalyptic sort of wasteland thing that
they ask some questions and they manage to answer them, because right away you're like, okay, why are there dinosaur robots?
Yep.
Someone riddled me that, but
I had a hard time choosing this one over Edith Finch over this one, because Horizon, again, the story is just magnificent. I didn't find a lot of holes, but the frozen waste seems to fix what little I was missing, which is nice.
Yeah. It seems like it stuck the landing pretty well at the end there.
Yep.
That's tough, because a lot of times, like even looking back at Night in the Woods, I felt like the ending was a little heavy-handed and a little bit, it wasn't the high point for me. So a game that can like set those things up and then have them actually pay off in the end, that's a good feeling. So cool. Best story in the bag. Good stuff there, guys.
Brian.
Nope. Oh, yeah. I almost skipped one of the biggest ones. Sorry.
I almost feel like I can't say a whole lot about it because I don't want to spoil it, but Nier Automata. Yeah. It was hands down my best story of the year. It's got its twists and its turns, so I'm not gonna get too deep into it, but
I don't want to brag, but I got one of the endings you didn't get because I died within the first 5 minutes.
Yep, saw credits. There you go. Game over.
All three of the main characters have a pretty interesting arc. And
See, I
it's one
feel
of
bad
those-
that I haven't played enough of this yet to have seen any of the endings or have gotten far enough along in the story, because so far what I've seen is fantastic of this game.
Robots in lingerie running around with big swords.
What more do
you
you
can
want?
tell.
So what do you want?
Like you can tell right away that something's weird because like the story revolves around your androids that are sent back to reclaim Earth from these like robots that are there occupying Earth. And right away, like some of them that you see will attack you, but there are some of them that are just like standing there. Like you just walk up to them and they just stand there. And I'm just like, huh, that's weird. These ones don't seem aggressive.
And then some of them are emulating what humanity would do. And then
Yeah, they start
the android
talking.
that you're controlling starts talking about how they're just machines.
Yeah.
You're like, no,
Doesn't mean
motherfucker, you're a
anything.
machine.
Right, yeah.
Wasn't it the baby carriage? And then it was going baby, baby.
Yeah, like
baby.
Like you
Lots
find
of
this
them were
little
having
this little
sex, too.
gathering of them out in the desert. There's like this little encampment, and you start attacking them and killing them, and they start saying shit, like this cannot continue, and they're like androids, kill, scared androids. And I'm just like, boy, I don't know if I'm the good guy anymore here.
That's crazy.
Definitely.
And then some of the androids are like, they don't know what they're saying. They're just saying words. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they are saying things in the absolute appropriate context. Like,
Right.
there was one specific moment where there's a machine running towards you, and then it says, no, not that way, and it turns around and runs the other way. And he's like, and they specifically say like, oh, why would he choose those words? And I'm like, because those are the right fucking words for the moment.
Yep.
That's exactly what you say.
Nope.
Yeah, so it really asks some interesting questions about, like what do soldiers do when there's no more war, when there's no purpose to their life? What do they do to give themselves purpose? And, the robots try to emulate human culture, and that ain't pretty. And says something about our various cultures, I think.
More games like this need to have story modes like Horizon did, so people that just want to have the story and not deal with all the BS can play without dying 5 minutes in.
Yeah, this is another one on my. I need to find a way to
PS4.
play this. It's on PC too, so I've just never seen it get real cheap.
Tyler, if you just get a PlayStation, I will let you borrow all of my games. Just get a PlayStation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
just
can borrow
get
my
one.
copy of Horizon.
Yeah.
Borrow my copy of Nier.
Sold.
Just find one.
Just
Yeah,
find
Tyler,
the
it's
PlayStation.
easy.
Yeah, I know.
Just don't get a new
Just go
Yeah.
use your magnesis power and pull one out of the dirt. Just go do it.
Hey, everyone, let's talk about Best World. The Best World.
Segway.
I can't believe we've been talking this long about games that are the best, and we haven't yet talked about one called The Legend of Zelda. Luke,
Can't you?
this one.
Can't you?
What
Just because you're stupid and hate it, Brian, doesn't mean the rest of the world hates it.
Hey, it's my right to be stupid and hate it.
That's true.
This is America.
America great again.
I'll be as wrong as I want to be.
Hey, Luke, what makes
Hey.
Hyrule the best world?
Is it the horses?
It's the
No,
horses.
It's
It's not the
horses.
horses, because I never even really used the horses.
Is it the horsey motorcycle in the DLC?
No.
Is it
It's
Link's
the
Nintendo Switch T-shirt?
feeling of how everything in the world just kind of comes together.
Where it all comes together, yes.
If you go and you climb a mountain and you're in the cold, you better put on your cold weather gear. If you're in the desert, you better dress up in a skirt.
That one I would question, but yes, you're not wrong. You gotta wear skimpy clothes so you don't burn up in the desert.
But sand in
you're-
places? Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Yeah, it gets everywhere.
Link,
Yeah.
Link's a pretty lady. I'll just say that.
No, you're right, Luke. Like all the open world stuff it does is super impressive, and I think the most impressive thing is that like you use real world logic in this game. You don't use
Yes.
video game logic, and everything works the way you logically think it would. And all these systems are in place, and it never feels like it's close to breaking.
Mm-hmm. It's
very
very
impressive.
consistent.
It's right down to little stuff like there's very specific environmental effects that they've included in the game, and they all interact with everything else in the world the way you would expect. Like right down to there's these jelly creatures, the choo choos. When you kill those, they drop choo choo jelly, and it's just like blue jelly that lands on the ground. Well, if you kill one with your fire sword, it absorbs that elemental power, and you'll get little fire chew jelly on the ground. Or if you kill one with an ice arrow, it'll drop the ice stuff, and all those are used in crafting and stuff. And it's like that; those things have the same effects throughout the whole game. Like
Those little touches.
you kill something that drops meat in a cold area, and if the meat sits on the cold ground too long, it'll freeze and turn into frozen meat. And like if you kill something on a mountain that drops meat on Death Mountain, where it's a active volcano, it will cook the meat on the ground and then eventually catch fire, burn to a crisp, and turn to ashes. Like those things are so well done and so cool.
The thing that makes it the best world for me is that it's not just when you kill them. So then you have these things in your inventory,
Right.
and you can drop that at any time. And so I have regular old choo choo jelly, but I need electric choo choo jelly so that I can get something. So I dump a bunch of
That's the name of
it
my
on the
ska band.
ground,
Electric
take
Choo Choo
my
Jelly. Go on.
take out my electric sword and swipe it across it all and turn it all into the stuff that I need, and then I can go and do the thing that I was going to do with it. Because
Now,
it all just works within the world.
I'm assuming you could also put it all on the ground, put down a sword, and then let lightning hit the sword and
Yeah.
do the same
Yes.
thing.
Yep, exactly.
Once again,
Exactly.
all of these concepts just work together.
Yep.
Yep. And if you shoot a fire arrow into a field of grass, the grass catches fire just like it would, and bombs roll down hills
and
like you
then-
would expect them to.
Not only does the grass catch fire, the grass catches fire and causes an updraft, which you can use to launch yourself up in the air using your little
Paraglider
parachute
thing, yeah.
kite paraglider
Paraglider.
thing, and that is what happens in a wildfire. There's these huge updrafts. Like it all makes sense and works, and it's just fantastic.
The exact reason you guys like this is the exact reason I don't. It's too much to control, like for me, too much to worry about. Like it stresses me out.
All that open world freedom with no direction.
Yeah, and like, oh God, where I have to dress differently. I'm freezing now, and now I'm on fire, and no thank you. I have enough to manage in my daily life. I don't want to do that in my video games.
But the thing about it is, let's say you don't have any cold weather gear. You
Mhm.
could either equip a fire sword to keep yourself warm, have a torch to
What?
keep yourself warm,
Yep.
or eat some chili peppers to keep yourself
Yeah,
warm.
you can hear that little cooking
That's
jingle.
what I had to do. Yes, that was the best part. I liked to cook.
Yeah.
I liked the cooking.
Hang on a second, Kat. Don't you don't want to manage those things in that video game? Don't you love playing Don't Starve
I love Don't Starve.
and Stardew
but-
Valley
Yeah.
and all of these other games that require you to manage a bunch of different systems?
It just it felt very just stressful in this game for me. I can't. No.
Those aren't quite as directionless, I would argue.
Yeah.
That's true.
And,
You
and
got a
don't
point
starve, you can do whatever you want, I guess, but you're going to die if you don't light a fire at night and don't eat.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, I think that's part of what makes this game awesome for me though too. Look, I agree. It's the way these different systems play together and how you can, if you stop and think about all the different puzzles, there's times where like I've gotten frustrated trying to figure out the video game way to do something and then realize that like, oh shit, I could just do this a totally different way. I think there was like a river I kept trying to do the right jumps to get across in the frozen area where you just freeze if you got in the water. And I was having a really hard time trying to find the right angles to jump and all that stuff. And then I realized like, oh, the current from this river is flowing towards where I want to go. So I just cut down a tree and hopped on the log and let the current take me exactly where I needed and then hopped off the log. And I was like,
Maybe I need to
I
give it
just
another
skipped
go.
all of that. And it was like, wow, I was, looking at this totally the wrong way. And I'm sure there's 3 other different ways you could have solved that same exact scenario, but that's the way I found to do it. And pretty cool.
This was another one of those games to where we would go through and discuss how we accomplished a shrine or something, and 3 or 4 of us would talk about the exact same shrine, and we would have different methods.
Solutions.
Yep. The other thing is for me just like a GTA game, just wandering around the world is fun. Just aimlessly wandering around with no goal or idea in mind of what you're going to be doing. You just wander is a blast, and that's what makes it such a great world.
Yeah, the only knock against it would be like I didn't think there was enough story stuff to really like, I don't know, inch you along that. But I agree that just wandering around the world is super rewarding in and of itself. Like that, I still will load this game up when I just don't really know what I want to play, and I just kind of want to hop around and explore and dick around in a world. And this one's perfect for that because all those little stories that you kind of write yourself just playing around in that world are extremely entertaining. I agree with you. Good pick. I've got a different choice myself, but I support your decision. Kring, what was your pick for overall best world?
It was Breath of the Wild.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you did say that.
I said that.
Yeah, you agree with Luke. Brian.
Tyler.
Brian, you didn't. What was yours, Brian?
Mine was Pyre.
Par.
Yep, Pyre.
Tar.
Pyre's
syllables.
World is so fucking cool. It's real cool, you guys.
Yep, nobody does world building like Supergiant, and that's another really good one. Like it feels like a totally unique, like totally its own thing. Like I want to play more games in that world. Like I want to play an RPG in that world, like a proper straight up RPG. Like all the different races and like the way they've got the rights and the scribes, and it's such a neat, well written thing.
I think that's a really good indicator of specifically of a best world kind of thing, is when your mind immediately goes to like, I want to play, I'd play a first person shooter set in the downside. I'd play an RPG in here. I'd want to see like a, traditional turn-based game set here. Like all of those different things could work because they've built such a believable world.
Like
That's
Supergiant made me love a game, like basically a sports game. I mean, it's space basketball. They just put RPG layers on it and a good story in it. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm playing space basketball now. It's fantastic.
It's a visual novel mixed with NBA jams.
Yeah, and I found myself making decisions based on the story and the characters, not based on like who was the best on the team. Just because after you win the rights, you have to send someone home, which is cool, but you never see that player again, so you're losing your best players sometimes that way.
That's hard choices.
Hard
choices. Yep. It's cool. Yeah. I definitely. I'm
surprised at your pick, Tyler.
The space basketball kind of turned me off of this, but I've heard enough and read enough about this game and the world that I want to go back and finish it now. Like I kind of fell off from it, but now I'm gonna finish it.
It's worth it.
You said you were surprised by my pick, Kat, for best world?
Yeah, because how big you were into Breath of the Wild.
I am. I love Breath of the Wild, but that the little thing that I mentioned about like not feeling the urge to peek behind the curtain so much in Breath of the Wild, I felt extremely drawn to in Hollow Knight.
Gotcha.
So Hollow Knight it's hard to describe. On the surface, it's like this Tim Burton game about sad bugs, is what it looks like. Mm-hmm. And that, like, you
That's
think
a good description, actually.
Like on the surface, it doesn't look like much. Like I've heard people say it looks like a Flash game, which I disagree with. But I understand where that's coming from. Like it's got this kind of, hard black outline, very inked, illustrated look.
It looks like a comic book.
Yeah, that's what I always
more
thought
than I would say a Flash game.
Yeah. But beyond all that, like, it's one of those things where a lot of the world building is hinted at more than directly told to you. there's a lot of boy. I sure spent a whole lot of time picking my gems in that screen. Let me skip forward here a little bit. But
No. Let's see exactly how long you take to pick your gems, Tyler. I want you to feel some shame.
It was a long time. It's just the world itself comes together. It's a blend of the music, the art design, the little bits of story that you get. It's this world that's all broken and collapsed and ruined, and you're kind of picking through the remnants. And there's this feeling like you're unearthing stuff. The deeper you go, the more ancient things become. The lower down into the ground you go, and it's just fascinating to me.
Yeah, they do mood and atmosphere super well.
Yeah, there's a moment where you get into the City of Tears, and the music all changes, and there's like this vocalized part, which we'll get into in the music section a little bit more. But like that whole area just blew me away, and I explored every nook and cranny of that place, and continued to do that throughout the rest of the game. It was just a world I couldn't get enough of exploring.
Everything's black and brown and gray. Beautiful.
But yeah, it's like it's not. Then you get to this area where it's all like these pink crystals everywhere, or you get down into the fungal wastes, and everything's like got this green mist everywhere and steam coming up from the ground, and these crazy glowing funguses, and it's fungi. Sorry,
The hive.
the hive. Yeah, the bees. It's all glowing and
Just
buzzing in the background, and yeah, it's really something. So yeah, Hollow Knight wins for me for best world, even over Hyrule. Let's see, what else do we got on the list here? Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised at all by this.
Surprise! This one was actually a hard pick because I liked Edith Finch's world again and best story, but I felt, looking back on Horizon, that the world is just immense, but not in the way Breath of the Wild is. Like, you have tons of side quests you can do, and I don't know if you were able to delve into that, Krang, at all, but the side quests are huge, and you learn about the people you're helping. And I'm a graphics whore. Brian knows that. I like pretty games, and this by far, the graphics are huge. The way Aloy talks and moves, and the flowers you pick, and the herbs you find, and fishing. Just fishing in the water looks cool. The detail in this game is huge. Sneaking is one of my favorite things because of how you move.
Yeah, just the animations and stuff, and
it's so well thought of, and where everything's placed on the map, and the stories behind everything in the world is just fascinating.
I want to feel her hair really bad.
I know, right?
It looks so cool.
I had this cool glitch when I was going down an elevator, and her hair was like all in her face, but it was like through her face.
Oh.
So it was a little glitch. But yeah,
Speaking of going down in an elevator, the ruins I thought were really super cool in this game. Like finding ruins was.
Oh yeah, there's specific
really
spots
neat.
You can find in every area that have ruins, and you find like hidden information from the past where you're still learning, about Zero Dawn, about the people of the past, and all that. It's just, it's so neat.
It's really
I love it.
Jeff, I liked this game a lot, but I didn't find myself drawn to the world as much as I did in Breath of the Wild. I found myself drawn to the world in that I wanted to know how it got to be the way that it was. So I was more drawn to the story. And as a result, I spent next to no time wandering this world or trying to do any of the side quests. It was like the only wandering and stuff that I did was, I don't want to walk all the way across the map. How quickly can I get the stuff that I need to make a fast travel pack so I can fast travel across to where I need to go so I can get to the next part of the story? Like, I didn't want anything to do with the world itself. I'll go back. I'm going to go back and start to delve into some of the side quests after I get through some things, but I didn't feel. I felt like I felt this is the first open world game I felt the world was that I loved. I should say that I felt that the world was tedious, and I just wanted the story.
Gotcha. I liked meeting all the different people you come across. So did you meet? I'm just curious if you met the one sneaky.
Is it a side quest?
I'll have to look.
Is it somebody you meet during the course of the main story? Or is it like an offshoot thing? Because if it's not main story related character, I did not meet them.
Gotcha.
Like seriously, the only side questing and stuff that I did was like in the very, very, very first section of it. And then once I start to find out a little bit more about this world, it was like, I need to know exactly what happened and how this got here. And I went and played nothing but the main story.
It's funny. I think you guys both have like slightly different definitions of what best world means. And you like the game for the same reasons, but your definition kind of falls outside. Like Kat is saying, like the world itself is so interesting that she wanted to like, explore it and find out more and find every little hidden thing. And you were like, yeah, the world is like the abstract concept of the world is so good that I need to get the story to find out like what the end of it is. Like that's cool. And you're thinking of it more like, is it the world, the physical world that they've created?
Just the run around.
Yeah. There's like there's kind of a disconnect between those two ideas, but that's cool.
I feel like Zelda lends itself to like experimental play a lot more. It's just like you want to go out and poke at it to see what it does.
Which is why I was drawn to that world of Breath of the Wild,
like going
more
between
than I am
these two
to
games.
This world of Horizon.
Going between those two games is rough.
Yeah,
because like Link can climb literally anything, and sometimes Aloy will hit like a waist high rock and just be like, nope,
jump, nope.
Somewhere between those two is where I like to see things.
Oh, you mean you don't want to see Link climb a completely vertical, smooth-faced sheet of ice?
It's fun, but there's a part of my brain that's like, this shouldn't be happening.
Well, let's switch over to the overall best moment. Now, light spoiler alert here. We'll try our best not to totally ruin anything here, but some of these moments might be a little spoilery. So if you haven't finished the game, just go ahead and skip forward a little bit. If you want to play any of these, now's the time where you might want to
I don't think you have.
Zoom ahead a little bit. So, Brian, I want to start with you. What in Nier was your best moment?
The end of Pascal's story, which I'm not going to spoil the story of Nier, but I am going to spoil Pascal's story in Nier. So
Walk away.
Buckle in. Here's the part where you skip forward.
So in Nier, you encounter...
Just do the Team America World Police sign when you're done.
What is that?
You'll see.
I don't know what that is either.
I don't know either, but we'll figure it out.
Let me know when you're done and I'll do it.
Okay.
Thank you. So in Nier, you encounter a little civilization of robots that are all living peacefully in the forest, and they're led by Pascal. He's a pacifist. They're all pacifists. They're not looking to fight. They're just looking to, live in the forest, live their robot lives. Late in the game, when shit goes sideways, like Pascal has to take the children and flee. And like they're hiding in this bunker, and everything's crashing down, and Pascal has to go out and fight. Like he has to stop being a pacifist and kind of get past those ideals and go out and fight to protect the children. So after that happens, you come back and find out that all the children have killed themselves. They've ripped their cores out because they were terrified. And Pascal is like, like I taught them what fear was. I was teaching them fear in order to keep them safe, and now they're all dead, and I did this, and I need you to either kill me or wipe my memory. I can't feel this. I need you to fix me. So, I hacked into Pascal and wiped out his memories. And it's the little twin stick shooter mini game, hacking game that you play. And like you're hearing the audio play of, like the children while you're wiping out his memories. And then later you find him back in the burned out ruins of his village, and he's like, yeah, I don't know why I'm here. It just seems like a nice place. And like he's selling parts. And he's selling the children's cores among the parts. Like he's just like, yeah, all these robot parts are here. I don't know.
Oh my God, Brian.
It was one of those like I'm gonna go take a walk. I'm gonna go.
Yup, time to take a
I'm
break.
gonna go out.
Go have
outside.
a lie down. Go have a little nappy.
Yeah, go have a little lay down.
No, that's like I need to go have a fucking
It
smoke.
was a gut punch. Yeah,
Wow.
Oh,
it doesn't ruin anything about the overall story, but
Wow.
yep, Pascal.
I can understand why. Yeah, this is
Luke,
such a. Do the thing, Luke. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
It's Luke though, so I don't trust it.
no,
Yeah,
you can
you're
trust
good.
it. It's good, Kring. Welcome back.
He didn't know what you meant.
We
so I
didn't
had to
know
do
what it was, so we didn't know what.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then they all died. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so I didn't spoil the overall story, but
They're all already dead anyway, Tyler, because they're androids. Come on now.
Never alive.
Were they ever really living?
Exactly. Thank you.
Oh,
What
man.
is life, Luke?
maybe you're an android, Luke.
So
Would explain a lot of things.
I think I'm gonna get the other. Let's get the other kind of spoilery things out of the way here first.
I added cats onto the list too.
Okay. Kring, what is your moment from Horizon Zero?
How spoilery should I get with this?
As little as
Because-
you can without still
Not
getting the
very.
point across. Yeah.
That's what this is. So
Well, Tyler
Okay.
wants to play it though.
Yeah.
yeah,
Someday in the future it'll be.
Well,
He'll
okay,
forget by then.
so
It's fine.
Horizon Zero Dawn is zero. The Zero Dawn references an actual event that takes place. Basically, what's going to happen is there's this apocalyptic event that's happening, and this is what I meant with the twist. Is typically when you get to an apocalyptic event, you get pockets of people that survive, and they try to rebuild their societies, and it's sort of crude and tribal, and that's kind of what you come across at the beginning of Horizon, and you see you're in this area where there's this tribe, and then you find out about these other tribes of people that are in different areas of the world. But it was the finding out what this Zero Dawn actually was, and you're led to believe the entire game that it's this like super weapon that's going to save humanity and kill the threat and end the
Super weapons always work out well.
yeah,
Yeah.
and end this. And then you find out it's not, that humanity's going to die. All life on Earth is going extinct, and there's nothing they can do about it, and nobody's going to stop it. It's going to happen, and they have it calculated down to the day, to the time, to exactly when it's going to happen. And what Zero Dawn is it's a system set up of all of these. It's like this big interconnected AI system set up to repopulate the Earth, and then to reintroduce life, repopulate with humans, and then re-educate the humanity that comes after.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this like huge grand scheme to get life back on Earth when all life, I'm talking every single speck of life, is gone. And then that's what the Zero Dawn means. It's the dawn of day zero, like there's nothing, and now we have to start back over from scratch and have this stuff all programmed to do it on its own.
Huh.
And that to me was just incredible.
That was a very incredible
That
moment.
was that was when I sat there I sat looking at my TV with my controller in my hand for about 10 minutes processing what I just saw and went, wow. And
Yep.
almost didn't want to keep playing the game because I was stuck in that moment of just contemplating what was happening in the world.
That's cool.
It's real good.
All right. So, yeah. Damn it. Sorry, I'm trying to process it too. It's hitting me hard. Kat, what is your best moment from Life is Strange?
Life is Strange Before the Storm. I finished it not too long ago. You meet pre-Max Chloe going through everything with Rachel. You go really in depth with the character for Rachel, and the end of episode 2 ends with a cliffhanger. Now this is going to be spoilery, so anybody that doesn't want to hear anything,
Sword again.
Cover your lead,
We'll give you the
Duffler.
signal when it's done.
Yeah. Kring needs to do it this time. Rachel's family is not who they think it is. Like, episode 2 ends up with they believe her father's having an affair with some other woman.
Episode 1.
Or episode 1.
Yeah.
But still, by episode 2, they still
Yeah.
believe that.
Mhm.
So Chloe is walking around the Amber household wanting to pretty much call out the dad for being a cheating asshole and trying to be delicate with the mom because she's terrified how this is going to affect her. So finally, the confrontation happens and it cuts, it ends. Episode 3 picks up to where you find out that this woman he was meeting is actually Rachel's mom. And who Rachel's mom was just someone who kind of played her mom, because her mom was a drug addict, and you go through this horrible, I almost cried about how Rachel's mom pretty much shot up heroin and left the baby crying. So the dad comes home from work, and baby Rachel is screaming with that just like horrible baby
Piercing shriek.
Yes. And you find out all that happens, and it just kind of, it was my Pascal moment. Oh,
That's a sound no one ever wants to hear ever.
no.
That can definitely be a harrowing experience.
But it definitely sets like Rachel to be how she is, and I don't know, it was just quite a moment.
Here's the signal, everyone. Spoilers for Life is Strange is done. Boy, Luke and I picked way less like hardcore moments. Jesus Christ.
When you get a moon in Mario, it plays the music and Mario spins around
Tone.
and it goes, hooray!
Tyler, I'll admit
that?
that if I didn't play Horizon Zero Dawn, mine would probably be the same as yours. I would
Yeah.
probably have seen what you wrote and went, yeah, Tyler's right. But I
Well,
played Zero Dawn.
I kind of
Tyler's
want
was on the short list for me.
I want to kind of take my answer and make it to that one instead, because I think Tyler's right.
So, man, I don't think I have a gameplay clip of it to play alongside of it, but my moment is the very moment you get out of the cave that you start in Legend of Zelda. Like, this is literally one minute into the game. You wake up, you pick up the Sheikah slate, you figure out that you can climb in this game and jump on your own, and that alone had me just like giddy with joy. I was like, oh, I can jump in Zelda without having to be at a ledge. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. I can climb stuff and I don't need to be on the vines. Oh, this is amazing. And you make your way out the door, and the camera just kind of sweeps around and gets this great view of the landscape of Hyrule, and Link runs up to like the edge of the cliff, and there's just kind of this light piano music, and you get this just overwhelming sense of the grand scape and wonder, and you realize like just how big this game is going to be. It's really something. And then the title shows up, and you know that you're ready for an adventure, I guess is the way to describe it. And it's real cool. So
For
yeah,
me, outside of Ganon's castle, they didn't really do much with music. Like there's the music swells at some points, and the way they use it is very effective. But the music that plays during that segment is incredibly moving, and it gave me a sense of anything is possible.
Yep.
When you come out of the cave and you hear that music and you see that camera sweep, you're like, I can do literally anything right now. And
Well, it's the old
I can't
cliche
wait to
of,
get started.
hey, see the mountain over there? You can go there. Like, that was actually real with Zelda in a way that it's not for most games.
yeah, and the way it's never been for Zelda before. Like,
Yep.
I think that just it summed up my expectations for the game all in one right there in that moment. It was like
All the possibilities.
yeah, you knew that this was going to be something different. This was going to be, a different kind of adventure for Link. So it was something pretty cool. Luke, your moment was also from Breath of the Wild. What was yours?
Yeah, mine was when you finally have enough hearts and you can collect the Master Sword.
It was a very cool moment. How they integrate the Master Sword is different in every Zelda game, and it's no different here. It's like they brought you back to the forest. You're back in the Lost Woods, like in Link to the Past, but this time it's like the pedestal of time is right in front of the Great Deku Tree, and they just really play up that moment of like you're pulling the sword out, and Link has to like physically with all of his might pull the sword up out of the pedestal, and it's draining his heart.
It drains your health.
So like that was the thing in the very first Legend of Zelda. The way you got new swords was by having enough hearts to go unlock them, and it just seemed like a very gameplay thing. Like we need a way to gate these and make them more powerful later in the game, so we'll just make you have more hearts to get them. But here it was like, no, this is going to drain like your health. It's going to test your strength and your resolve. And the Deku Tree says straight up, like, if you try to do this without enough stamina or whatever he says, that it'll kill you. And it's like, wow, that's the different tone for them to take with this game. I think it paid off. But then your Master Sword fucking runs out of energy, and you gotta, throw your Switch in the trash. No, I'm just kidding. Doesn't land all of those notes perfectly. That moment was really great.
I saw it as having to prove that you are the hero of time, or
right.
the chosen hero. That you don't just get to be that guy and get to go and collect the sword. You have to prove that you are ready to take on that responsibility.
Yep. And in the game, the only way to do that is by completing the shrines and proving to the ancient race that you are the hero returned. So it's pretty cool. Pretty good stuff. All right, now to one of my favorite categories, best style.
Style,
yeah. So, Luke, why don't you start us off with your choice for best style?
I'm really surprised you didn't pick this one, Tyler.
Well, that's only because there is another little gem on here that surprised me even more. But yeah,
where you didn't, I actually did pick Hollow Knight.
Trust me,
I thought Tyler was going to pick Hollow Knight for every category.
Yeah.
It was high on all of my lists. It was very high on all of my lists.
Kind of like how we discussed in the world category. You've got this art style that's very unique. You've got a background to the world that in its own is living and moving. You've got the way the music is integrated into it. The actual overall tone of the game itself is very unique. And
it is its own thing.
I didn't go through and actually play a ton of this game, but it just stuck with me. And I thought it was it had a great style.
It's extremely
Remember
stylish.
Deep Nest,
Yeah.
Tyler?
Yes. I fucking hate Deep Nest.
With all the bugs and things all scurrying around, and every once in a while want to like scurry across the screen.
Yep.
Quote unquote.
A lot of times it'll do that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I played this game a lot at night, in the wee hours of the morning, and yeah, that particular style was one I did not enjoy in Deep Nest.
Uh-huh.
And it's not just that, and I'm playing with headphones, and it's late at night, and I'm in the dark, and all that's on my screen is just fucking centipedes and spiders and crawly, creepy things, and like you're walking over like the dead, desiccated corpses of all of it. Yeah, it's a very crunchy, very like slimy, very squirmy sound that's happening the whole time. And then and yeah, like Brian said, then it like skitters across the screen. I'm just like, eventually I was like, okay, I gotta get the fuck out of here, and I put my headphones up and
every now and again the ones that are like skittering across the screen will like leap at you and you have to fight them.
Yep, they'll come out of the screen. It looks like they come off of the screen into your world. Yeah, there's another zone that was like that just made me feel disgusting. It was the sewers underneath the City of Tears. The Abyss was pretty rough too, but the sewers had these like worm things that you'd cut in half and they'd start going.
Yeah, like you think they're dead and then they like morph and then chase you.
Yeah, and when you think they're dead, and then they wake up and just start screaming. They just make this like screaming sound and come rushing at you, going. It's awful. It's terrible. But yeah, the game is stylish as hell. Like there's everything comes together. The animations are super tight. And I just love I was doodling little vessels, little Hollow Knights all over my paperwork and stuff at work. And yeah, the style definitely sticks with you for a while. So I feel you there, Luke. It was high on my list. Don't you worry. Let's see. Persona 5 is Brian's pick. I'm sure of it.
Yep. Correct, you are. Yep, that game style that's the best thing it's got going for it by far. Like it has this like 70s heist movie kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
And like the music and just that's a part of every element of the game. Like even the menus in battle, the load screens, like anytime it transitions from one screen to another, it just looks amazing. Like the music plays a part in that too. Like your victory screen, like all of it's
loud as hell. It's all very comic book, very like just jumping out at you, screaming in your face.
I wasn't sure about it at first, but yeah, they really executed it. It's probably the most stylish game I've ever played. It's very uniquely its own thing.
The text reminds me a lot of like in every 90s movie, whenever there was a ransom note, it was always like magazine clippings, like the mismatched letters and stuff. Like it has that vibe, and everything's moving and like animated. It's pretty neat. It has a unique style of its own for sure.
And that theme on its own doesn't do anything for me. Like the heist theme, that's not really my thing. But yeah, they executed it really super well here.
That's cool. I know you were saying that like that alone kind of kept you playing through it too. Like there's times where even when the story would kind of like be kind of one-sided or dip down, it would
it kind of dragged,
hit its valleys a little bit. You still wanted to see it.
Mm-hmm.
To keep checking out that world. That's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Good stuff, man. What else do I got here? Keep losing my list. Gorogoa, Cat. Gorogoa.
Never seen a game like it, and
it's cool. Yeah,
the
we
way
talked about it
that
last
you move
week.
within the pictures, the artwork, the way the game changes as you move was fascinating. I've never seen a game play like this before.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like an art experiment. It looks like an art exhibit. It's like it's very, very cool.
Yeah, and finding all the pieces and how they fit together, and it was just neat. This game was, even with all the Rusty Lake stuff I've played, it's not even close to this. This was just, going within an artwork, you go into it. It's neat.
Yeah, changing perspectives and all that. It's really creative gameplay.
Yeah.
And it's all set, like it looks like it's all taking place in somebody's sketchbook. Like it's like it has that look and feel of this is all happening on paper on a page in front of you. It's really, really neat.
Yep.
Yeah, Gorogoa. That is something. Available now. Check it out now. Kring, are you ready, baby?
Yeah.
We're on.
Ready to tell everybody why they're wrong?
We're on. we're on Cuphead Island, man.
We're on Cuphead Island, me and you. We're on Inkwell Isle.
Yeah. Who knew that you could make a game that looks exactly like an old Mickey Mouse cartoon, and it would be perfect?
Whoa. Max Fleischer didn't do Mickey Mouse cartoons. This is an old Max Fleischer cartoon. You bite your tongue there.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Walt Disney was a hack fraud. Okay.
All right. I think the numbers don't pan out in your favor, but okay.
The thing that makes this definitely hands down best style for me is they went for something totally undone before in video games, and something incredibly, just this monumental task of doing everything hand drawn and trying to recreate this style, and they nailed it perfectly. It's flawless the way that they've done this.
Very smooth.
Even down to little details like there was a thing where somebody called them out on Twitter about how in this one shot Cuphead's shoes are brown, and the next in this other section they're yellow, and in this other section his pants are different, and they're like, no, we did all of that on purpose because that's what happened in these old cartoons, is you would have these variations and nothing, they didn't have continuity.
Inconsistencies.
Yeah, they had these inconsistencies back then, so we did all of this to mirror that, and it's perfect the way the characters move, the way they kind of sort of all bounce, and
it's got the lines in the screen and the scratches and the hiss.
Yep. The colors are all kind of slightly muted to match what was going on at the time. They went for something big and they nailed it completely, 100%.
There's something,
and the music's a part of it too. That style, the jazzy soundtrack.
Yep, there's a couple moments like the intro has this kind of like barbershop quartet thing going on. The thing with King Dice, the King Dice song when you're in between levels is really cool. The little bits of voice acting that are in there have that like real rough, like they were recorded through a box of rocks, just like just like those old cartoons did, and it's it's all done really well. I've never played anything like it. I just played it. I finally cracked it open for the first time last night, and I played through the whole first like island or section or whatever in about an hour or so. And I'm like, I had to force myself to put it away because I started getting to some really hard bosses, and I was like, okay, I think I got to be done for the night. But I didn't want to put it down. Like I wanted to keep exploring every little portion of this world. And something I noticed too is like all of the things that you interact with kind of pop out. They kind of look like they're on top of the rest of the world. Yep. Just like that old animation.
Just like those cartoons.
Anything that moved was like brighter colored, and like, because they would literally take these matte paintings and put cells over top of them, like the vellum sheets or whatever, and all the animation would get painted and drawn on that stuff. And yeah, it's all done so well.
This game is done so perfectly. It feels like if they took today's technology and threw it back in the 30s, what would they come up with for a video game? Like, how would it look? How would it feel? And this game nails that.
Yeah, all the little like your upgrades and stuff are done on these cards that look like old baseball cards or something. Like, it's very, very cool. Yep. So, this is I was fully expecting to come in and tell you guys the same thing Luke did, was that Hollow Knight was the best style, and then I played this last night and saw what everyone else has been saying for months and months, and I'm on board. This game just oozes its own style. It's very, very cool, and it's pretty fun to play too, so that doesn't hurt. So let's see. Now on to best graphics, and we're gonna knock out 3 people with 1 here pretty easily.
I think I can sum this up for myself, Brian, and Kat by just saying the only reason that you and Luke didn't pick Horizon Zero Dawn is because you didn't play it.
Yeah.
You know, Aaron, I was actually going to say the exact same thing.
Yeah,
because everything I've seen, videos, gameplay, whatever, it's a phenomenal looking game.
Yeah, from a technical point of view, it's amazing. Yeah.
It has its flaws. There are sometimes where it glitches. There's sometimes where the audio and video on or the audio and the animation get out of sync. That I saw a few times, but even with those few flaws that I saw, it doesn't detract from how grand this game is.
Oh yeah.
Yep, all the outdoor landscapes look fairly real.
I mean, the way the sun moves when you're moving through it, like, it's phenomenal.
It's a real pretty game. It's given me the most PS4 envy out of all of them so far.
I was gonna say, yeah, I hope you get to play it at some point, Tyler.
Oh,
Yep.
stupid Skybirds.
Skybirds, yeah. Oh, very cool. Luke, your choice was one that we haven't seen yet on the list. Everspace.
Yeah. Had to get a space game in here somewhere, so this was it. No, it's one of the most beautifully rendered space scenes I've ever seen. Very, very bright, vibrant. Just the way, like your canopy cockpit, it'll start getting dirty as you're in fights and whatnot, and you can see that on there. The next mission is clean, and it's got big lens flare, and it's a very, very good looking game.
Wow.
Yeah, I like the look of this game a whole lot. Everything's
The way
kind of
this-
glowing and bright, like you said. There's a lot of color, even though you're in the depths of space. It's very cool.
The way this game looks is how I wanted No Man's Sky to look, but it didn't. It looked like Spore.
Let it go, Crank.
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
It's 2018.
It's
What do you
2018. We're not here to beat up No Man's Sky any more than we already did.
It's had enough.
No,
Yeah.
this game looks fantastic. This game looks like when you come up on these worlds, it's almost God. Is there a non-negative way to take that it looks like space in the prequels a little bit? Is there a non-negative way? Because I mean it in the best way possible.
You're invoking the prequels.
Oh boy.
Star Wars: The Phantom Menace is the worst thing to happen.
Because
since-
I'm thinking of the scene, specifically the scene where Obi-Wan in it was
Protagona.
2 or 3, whatever, but he's being chased by Jango Fett, and he's launching those bombs at him, and I'm
yeah,
like,
say
man,
Slave One.
this looks
Say
like
it.
a real bad movie, but a really sweet ass video game.
Yeah,
That's what
where
I'm getting
he's
from this.
where he's shooting out 100 lasers a second and manages to miss every single one of them.
This
Correct.
is pod racing.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there, and yeah, for sure, it's very in your face, explosive, bright,
Yeah,
just like that scene.
This video that I found is sure boring though. This guy's not doing anything in this game.
you mean Luke's not doing anything?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Luke, be more interesting next time in this video that you made. Yeah,
very good looking game, but much like the sequels, lacking much substance.
yeah. Or the prequels.
Prequels is what I meant.
Uh,
Or did I mean Last Jedi?
or maybe you did. Who knows?
How
There's
much
no way to
space
know.
politics is in this, Luke?
I'm not-
A little bit. There's
Yeah,
two warring
well,
I'm a
factions.
senator. Yeah.
I am the
Yeah,
Senate.
Oh boy. Hey, you guys want to know what my choice was for best graphics?
No, let's move on.
All right, we can just move on. No, I chose Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice because this game looks phenomenal.
Good
Um,
choice.
Yes, it does.
Good choice.
It's a world that scares the living shit out of me, and the character's face and everythting are
Oh,
scary,
the
believable.
detail of her face.
Her hair, her face, everything. Like this part this is a video I did take, and I kept trying to I didn't want her to keep turning her head. I was trying to look at her eyes because it was creeping me out. Like there was some
Yep.
real uncanny valley stuff happening where I was like, she have is it a real face? Are they doing some FMV stuff? Like the detail in her eyes and her face is just crazy. And the cutscenes where she's talking and a lot of times screaming in terror and stuff were so believable and so well captured. It was
Well,
something else.
One of the coolest things about that, like we said, is it was someone on the video production team that there was like, why don't you go in there and stand in, like we'll get someone real to replace you later, but you can just be a fill-in for now. And then they're like, no, we're gonna keep you.
Her
And-
lips, her eyes. She's Senua, and it
Yeah,
was awesome to see her on stage. Like,
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
she
like-
really did an amazing job.
The details, like I know hair is kind of a cop out, but like when you get up close, you can see like little stray hairs, like individual, like little
Yep.
stray, scraggly bits of hair and stuff behind her braids, and it's just crazy. It's
One thing I liked about this one is when she gets an injury, it stays. Like she's bleeding or she's got the stuff coming up her arm. Like it stays.
Yeah.
And it doesn't just wash away or disappear because you're at a different part of the game. It's like, nope, this has happened, so this is still there.
It was easily the most visually impressive game that I played this year, and
Yeah, the audio.
the audio definitely helps.
I think the fabric on this one is neat too. Like, I mean, I liked Horizon's like stuff, but the fabric like of the outfits is so realistic.
Yeah, that cloth around that head that she's carrying around in her pocket there.
Isn't it great now
Crazy.
that we're finally getting to the point in video games where hair and fabric look and feel realistic, and it's not just this like flat pane with
Right.
this shitty texture on it that sort of looks
Unmoving.
like it might be cloth but doesn't move at all ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, even she climbs up a ladder and it sways with the way she climbs up the ladder.
Right. It's not just a JPEG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather have hair and fabric that doesn't move as opposed to that awful middle ground that we had for a while, to where we're just
Yeah.
moving in a horribly unrealistic fashion and be
Yeah,
distracting.
and your hair was completely like all the hair looked like basically just a sheet of paper and sort of
Yeah.
all moved at the exact same way. Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah, very cool. So now it's time to get our claws back out and talk about the biggest disappointment of 2018.
Last Jedi.
God damn it, Luke! Can we just not?
Sorry, I had to.
I think this will be interesting. So after I just talked about how beautiful Hellblade is, two of you have it on here for biggest disappointment. Who was it that Hellblade did not work for?
Hello.
Hi. What's up?
Yeah, I love what that game is trying to do, and they did so much of it right. Just the way they captured, just like her emotional state and the voices that she's hearing, the look of it. But boy, the parts where it's a video game were just fucking terrible, and they just pulled me out of the experience. Like the combat was dull and repetitive, and I did not enjoy the puzzles. I kept getting lost looking for the right path to go to keep the story moving, and like it also
You're
does
telling
the
me you
thing
need this to be a
where
Firewatch.
what's that?
You're telling me you needed this to be a Firewatch.
Yeah, yes, very much.
Okay.
Like it kept doing the thing where I would fail and then I'd have to start over, and it's like everything's on fire. You got to find the right path to run through the. Nope, you died. Okay, start over again. Run through the fire again, and all that stuff really ruins the immersion for me.
Yeah.
Enough that I put maybe 2 hours into it and then just said, okay, I'm not going to keep up with this. Cat did see it through and finish it.
Yeah, and I didn't have a whole lot of disappointment. And Hellblade's on the list only because of how frustrated I was with combat. He had to sit next to me multiple times and me just getting pissed off. And of course, I'm worried as her stuff on her arms growing, and I'm looking at him. I'm gonna have to start the game over, and I'm gonna frickin' walk away and throw the controller.
I never got frustrated with the combat. I actually kind of liked it, but
Yeah.
I'm
Tyler's
horrible at
the-
dodging, so
Tyler, the guy who takes a wooden shield and just goes up against just a wooden shield. That's it, and goes up against
All right,
these guardians,
okay.
and then smacks him in the dick like he's a like,
Okay.
like
well, I wasn't trying to I wasn't
Like
trying
he's
to be like,
Gladiator.
oh, I'm the strongest, I'm the best. But
It was-
I had a similar fall off with the game though, Brian. It was just I felt like emotionally stressed. I was getting very
It's
invested
draining.
in it, and it was draining me. Yeah,
it is a very draining game.
I haven't finished it either, but for different reasons. But I want
was-
to. It's
It was
out.
like Alan Wake again for me, where it's like, oh, here's a spooky atmospheric enemy we're going to throw at you. Here's 7 of them. It's like, okay, it just feels like you're padding it now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think it goes into the. I mean, maybe it's giving a game too much credit, but I think it goes into kind of try to be part of the storytelling, and like this is what she's experiencing. Like, yes, this
Oh,
is frustrating. This is something that she can't
Right.
control and doesn't want to be in,
You're-
experiencing, and
You're seeing what she's hearing and like hearing what she's hearing, and that's neat. But
yeah, I agree. I get what you're saying. This is also, I think there's something to be said for, like, it's a $30 game. They didn't, they clearly came at this with a different budget and a different set of priorities, and I think some of that stuff is probably a function of that too, to some degree. So I get it. Yeah. Hey, let's talk about. We're having a live edit here. Let's just go to Luke. Mario Kart 8 is Luke's biggest disappointment of 2018.
Yeah, I was very hyped for it. Second game on the Switch that I was gonna get, and I never had the opportunity to really play a Mario Kart.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, I'm gonna get it. It's gonna be fantastic. And yeah, the AI just fucking cheats the entire time, and it's awful.
Yeah, welcome to Mario Kart.
Yeah, I wish someone would have told me before I spent $60 on it.
Now, I will say that in recent Mario Kart games, the AI feeling like it's cheating and the rubber banding and the bullshit has gotten a lot greater than it was in older titles.
Yeah, it was awful. I want difficulty just be in first for 2.5 laps and then be within sight of the finish line and just get one after the other
Blue shell.
nailed by all different abilities, and I would be close to last.
I think part of that is just them wanting anyone to have a chance to where it's almost like a party game. Like, they don't want to just have like the most skilled player win every single race.
I get what Luke's saying, though. It does end up creating this gameplay where, like, having the best lines and being in first is boring as shit, because you never get interesting power-ups. You always just get coins or green shells
Green
or
turtle shells.
whatever. Yep. And it's like, I get it. You're trying to give last place.
It's also not. It's not only boring because you don't get the power-ups. It's also boring because you're so far ahead of everyone else. You're not really racing.
Yeah.
And then they just cheat to win.
So their fix for that is give guy in last the bullet bill, so he just blows through everyone and catches up. Yeah.
And then it's I spend a large portion of races dragging a green shell or a banana behind me to combat that red shell, and then it's you get hit with a blue shell, and then you get the red shell, and it's like, motherfucker, now I got hit by both of them because the game decided to put them in that order.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be extremely unrewarding. The best times that I had playing this were with my daughter. I put like the assists on so that it helps her steer so she doesn't steer off the edge, and accelerates for her so she doesn't have to remember to keep holding down, and she can kind of just aim her power-ups and play along. And that was a lot of fun, but yeah, I mean, even as a kart racing game, this one feels very light. It feels very light. If you know what you're doing at all, you're gonna fall asleep playing this thing. But it is. I mean, it's all very beautiful. It's very well animated. It's
a great looking game. Played very smoothly.
It's very smooth.
Very interesting levels.
Yep.
But
it's
the core mechanics were just very flawed.
Core gameplay isn't exactly thrilling. But hey, for that time when we all get together at the next camping event, we could do some races together and nanner each other. It'll be a blast.
It's funny because
we didn't do that at the
we
last
didn't do it at
camping
this
event.
one.
Yeah,
That's why we do it at the next
we had
one.
it. It's not like it's a new thing.
Yeah, that was part of the joke.
Was it though?
This looks kind of like the Luncheon Kingdom. That was your guys' favorite one. Sorry. Yeah. So let's see what else we got on here. Battlefront 2. Who put that on the list at the 11th hour?
It's like the 12th hour, dude.
Yeah.
Last second. That'd be me.
Okay.
It's the first hour.
That would be me because I had Sonic Mania on here, but then I realized that I'm disappointed in the fact that I'm never going to beat it because I just got frustrated with it and put it down, and I probably won't go back and play it. But overall, it was exactly what I expected it to be. So I can't really consider that a disappointment. But with Battlefront 2, I was starting to get kind of excited. I was getting a Star Wars bug, thinking, man, some of the stuff coming out about this game, it looks like it's going to be pretty good. It looks like they fixed a lot of stuff that was wrong with the first one. And then EA fucked it all up, and I'm never going to play it now. And I'm disappointed with the fact that I am not going to play a Star Wars game. Star Wars is my thing.
Battlefront is like one of the most beloved franchises, like of
Yep.
all of the different Star Wars games. Like people hold that in such high regard, the original
Yep.
Battlefront 1 and 2, and like the fact that they just took this license and fucked it straight into the dirt so hard is such a bummer.
Yep.
So
The Battlefront and Battlefront 2 on Xbox were games that I put tons and tons of time into, and games that I played a ton of multiplayer on. It was the thing I played when nobody wanted to play Halo, and you just play Battlefront, and I had a blast playing that game, and it was something I was hoping maybe I could get some more of those moments out of. I skipped the first Battlefront because as much as I like the multiplayer on this game, it didn't have a single player, and I was like, I tried the multiplayer only thing with Titanfall, and I didn't really dig that. I felt like it was missing something with not having a single player mode, so I skipped the first Battlefront. Battlefront 2, I was like, nope, this is going to be great. Leading up to it until EA just screwed the pooch on everything.
do you think that this was a curse brought on by them including so much stuff from the prequels in this one? You think that's what fucked them over in the end? Do you think it was like a George Lucas curse? Like they've got you running around as the stupid, shitty droids in the Naboo fighters and stuff? You think it just bled over?
I think that what fucked them
Corrupted the whole thing? Gungas.
I think that what fucked them on this is they did it. They took the George Lucas approach in systematically trying to figure out how to make every cent that they possibly could out of this movie, how to make the most money they possibly could out of this game.
Sell the most toys, yeah. There you go.
Sell the most toys, make the most money.
It feels like it was designed around its microtransactions,
Yep.
which is understandable for a free game, but not for a $60 game.
Yep.
Well,
And the only thing that I can hope for is that Disney is, because Disney, from what I understand, they're pissed at EA for this, and the only thing I can hope for is that they're pissed enough to say, no, EA, you don't get to make Star Wars games anymore. Piss off.
I think Disney's
But that probably won't happen.
Complacent in this though too. Like I think they're, you know, I feel like they're like, hey, you guys, that thing that we told you to make and told you how to do it and oversaw every step of the way, hey, you guys really messed that up. Shame on you. You know, like
I have no idea how hands-on they were with that aspect of the game, like,
right.
you know, like the finer details of the gameplay and the transaction system.
Do you mean kind of like how EA directs a studio to make a game and then they go ahead and shutter the studio after the game fails?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like
Exactly
I
that
can
kind of thing.
imagine that out of any company, Disney would have some sort of representative there in their meetings.
Yeah.
right.
But
Probably
maybe I'm
right.
wrong.
Well, let me tell you about the one that disappointed me the most. It was Precious, and then it failed me. It's called Middle Earth: Shadow of War. Guys, this could have been a great game, and it was for a lot of it. It hit a lot of great
Two-thirds of it
parts.
is a great game.
2/3 is a great game, and it was my 2014 game of the year, its predecessor. And they managed to take all of the things that were great and ruin them.
It wasn't just the like final quarter of the game or whatever. It wasn't just the back end of the game, right?
It was that like getting to that point was entertaining. It was fine. But there were times where it felt like it was all a little too much. Like the thing that made Shadow of Mordor great was you'd be playing along, you'd have your quest objective, and you'd be going to do your thing, and all of a sudden, every once in a while, you'd be on your way there, and an orc would show up who had a vendetta against you. You either killed, his captain, and he was out to seek vengeance, or, you fought him in an earlier battle and burned him really bad, and now he's fucking pissed and he's here to tell you about it. Like, that would happen, and it would be like, it'd be jarring, because games don't do that. Open world games don't just have like this moment where something just clashes into you and takes you and says, no, you're gonna fight me now, motherfucker. I don't care what your plans are. Like, that was such a like unique thing to have happen. And
right. But what if that happened
like
every 2 minutes?
Yeah,
what if that happened all the
exactly.
time?
I think they were like,
It would
wow,
be the best moment all the time.
it's another example of like they learned the wrong lesson from their success. They were like, oh my god, people love that. We need to give them more of that. And while, yes, I wanted more variety, I wanted more orcs, I wanted different opportunities for them to come and do that kind of stuff, I didn't necessarily need to be seeing that shit every couple of minutes. And that's what happens here. Unless you're in like a very scripted story event, the orcs just fucking harass you nonstop. And it's like, it's just
Your favorite part of the cake is the frosting. What if I just gave you a jar of frosting?
It's Captain Crunch.
All the
Oops,
best part.
all berries. Just fuck your whole teeth. Fuck your mouth. Just suck on these sugar berries, you idiot. Yeah, that's
my
what it
problem.
feels like.
My problem with Shadow of War is at first I was like, hey, this is just more Shadow of Mordor. This is fantastic.
Mhm.
I don't need anything else from this game. I just want more Shadow of Mordor. And then halfway through, I was like, no,
I've
I
had
need
enough
more.
Shadow of Mordor.
I was like, this game isn't different enough for me.
Right. There's some cool moments, like you're seeing me fight a fucking Balrog right now, which was like, wow, that's something different. And there are some really cool moments like that, but they're like getting to them isn't as exciting as it was. And then the game just comes to a screeching halt at the end. Like you get left on this pretty big moment, this kind of cliffhanger moment, and then they lay out a path before you that seems to be another 10 hours long for no reason at all. And it just took all the wind out of my sails. Whatever fun I was having, it just became a giant chore. And the game clearly wants you to log in every week and complete challenges to try to get more stuff so that you can earn the currency to buy the stuff. You never this is the problem with some of the marketing around this, is people said like the game is trying to force you into buying loot boxes. I don't think they're necessarily forcing you to buy them, but they wanted you to earn them. And it's totally possible to do those challenges and get enough currency to buy all the loot boxes you'd ever need, but you still needed those loot boxes. And that's the problem, is like, I think I pushed back with you, Brian. You were saying like, well, yeah, but they're designing the game around getting those loot boxes. And in my head, I was always going, well, they're not, but you don't have to purchase them though, so that makes it okay. And the problem isn't that
they're making balanced decisions based on that.
Right. It's like, even though you don't necessarily have to buy them, you're still having to like grind certain events or grind certain things to earn enough currency to get them. And the balance of the game, or the pacing of the game at least, is designed around having these, and that sucks. Like that is not something I want at all in this type
That part
of
of
game.
it really reminded me of a MMO, having to sign in to do your daily quest.
Yeah, and I think,
But in this case, it's you could either do your daily quest to get your reputation with a faction, or just buy this loot crate and get your reputation that way.
and I experienced some of like what happens when you don't do that. Like, so I was like, well, I'm just gonna try to get through this with what I've got. I've got some pretty strong orcs. I've got some legendary stuff. I know what I'm doing. I'm good at this game. And I made it through a few of the post-game scenarios where you're defending your fortresses that you've built up against like these assaults of orcs. And some of that gameplay is pretty fun, but when you fail, like you have to then start from scratch and like retake that fortress. You have to get it back, and that does not feel good. Like it's I'm all up for a challenge in a game. I'm not. I've been downright masochistic with some of the games that I played. And this is just it just didn't feel right. It felt like a chore. It felt like work, and I felt like I was being punished for not spending all my currency.
No, that right there, that you said two things just now that really hit home. Is it felt like a chore, it felt like work. And when a game feels like that, it's no longer a game. It's not something that you want to spend your free time on. I have plenty of chores and work to do that I don't need to do it in my games.
Yeah. Yep.
In before Stardew Valley.
Or World of Warcraft. Yeah. There you go. That's our biggest disappointments of 2018. Now on to one of my favorite categories, best music. Here we go.
Yep.
Luke, Mario Odyssey, baby.
Yeah, so I really wanted to. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm cheating. I'm putting 2 down.
Okay.
Best song is going to go to Breath of the Wild
Okay.
for Hyrule Castle. That song was phenomenal. But since we weren't doing best song, we're doing best music, I'm going to pick Mario Odyssey. And that's the problem is I can't pick out one song that was overall fantastic in there, but as a collection, it was all solid. I just know that when I was playing it, I would just be playing along to the music, and everything was very upbeat and cheerful and fantastic. You really couldn't be upset or sad while playing that game.
Yep.
And a lot of that was due to the music.
Yep.
Could
See, I would disagree with you, Luke, that best song would be from Breath of the Wild, because I thought that the best song of the year was from this game. It was the one that Pauline sings.
Yeah, that one was good.
The New Donk City celebration.
Yeah, I forget. Jump Up Superstar or something like
Yeah,
that. It's
that
called.
was a nice little homage.
It was good. I wouldn't say it was the best, but yeah, it was one of the ones that stood out.
I thought the music was fine in Mario Odyssey. That was good.
I thought it was really neat the way, like when you're doing the 2D side scrollers,
Oh
Like-
yeah.
side scrolling bits, the way the music changed to like chiptune music, chiptune versions of the same music. That was really well done.
Transition to the side scrollers were just fantastically done all the way around.
Yep, you have to keep your costumes. Yeah,
Yeah, I had one that was my favorite that looked like Rick from Rick and Morty. It was like a scientist Mario, and when I went through a pipe and stayed looking like a scientist with his crazy hair everywhere and stuff, that was a pretty cool moment. And yeah, how it just keeps that music picks up exactly where you left off and turns into the old NES style is really, really cool.
hmm
Yeah, good choice, Luke. Mario's always had good music, but Odyssey is no different. Crane, what did you think was the best music this year?
It's Cuphead.
Cuphead's music's so good.
It's Cuphead, hands down. Honorable mention goes out to Blossom Tales.
Yeah, you like
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
I really do.
I think the
Not
guy who
not-
made that music, he
I think
makes
he did a great
music,
job.
and I think him
Yeah.
letting people use his music for like podcasts and stuff is a really smart choice. I think this is really good on his part. Shout out to Visager for doing the music for Blossom Tales because it's awesome. But yeah, let me get some of that. Let me get some of that Cuphead action in here real quick. Hang on. Here we go. Yeah, go ahead. You're not gonna hear it, but I've got to go in the background here.
Oh, so it's from the very first moment. What you're playing right now, it launches into this barbershop quartet right at the beginning, and I went, "Yep, this game." Like the music and the animation right there, you went. I knew that I was like hooked on this game. I was sucked right in, and I was ready to play. I don't know of. I don't know if the music doesn't really define the style, but it matches the style so perfectly and flawlessly that it makes the game feel more real. It makes it feel more alive. The way that they managed to get this music into this game, and it's all it all pays homage to what was being done at the time so well that you get lost in it. This is a game. Normally, when I see a game on Steam and it'll be like buy the game or you buy this bundle with the game and the soundtrack, I'm like, oh, who wants to buy the soundtrack? And I'm pissed at myself for not getting that bundle on. Yeah, I know Brian does, but I'm pissed at myself for not getting that bundle because I left playing that game and went, man, I really want to listen to these songs. And then I'm like searching for YouTube videos to try to listen to some of this music again because I should have just bought the album.
I don't think I've ever sat on a title screen where it just says press start over and over again as long as I have for Cuphead. Like, I listened to that whole song as it was awesome. But yeah, you're right. Like each level is its own boss and everything, and so each fight almost has like this music video quality to it, where like the music matches it so perfect, and so you start you remember each fight and the music that goes along with it. It just, like you said, it blends and matches so perfectly. It's really really cool.
Hey, Luke.
It looks like the Cuphead soundtrack is on Spotify.
Oh,
Is it? It's on Spotify.
I didn't actually click it to listen to it, but it says Cuphead original soundtrack, so maybe.
Boy, if only I used Spotify.
Google.
Who doesn't use Spotify? Anyway, what are you doing, Greg? What are you doing with your life?
Nothing.
Start using Spotify.
Yeah. Join the online
Spotify
sensation.
sponsor us.
For just $8.99 a month. No, I don't know how much Spotify is. Who pays for Spotify? Anyway,
Sponsor us, Spotify.
sponsor Spotify for the many reasons we just stated. I'm losing all my stuff again. Brian, what was your favorite music of the year?
Mine was Pyre.
Pyre. I can't not say it that way.
Waffled back and forth between a few of them. You know, Persona, Nier, Hollow Knight all had really great music. Pyre's music is such a part of that game world. Like, you've got a minstrel, you got a bard that travels with you. So a lot of the music sounds like minstrel music. It's like acoustic guitars. And there's distinct music for each of the teams you face. And there are parts where like the lyrics will change based on which team you're facing at that time. And there's a song that plays over the end credits, and the lyrics of that song are unique based on what events you had happen in your playthrough.
That's crazy.
So much detail goes into it. It's mind-blowing. Like, again, this is something that Supergiant does better than anyone else, is music in their games.
We got stuck on a rabbit hole of that guy. I think it's called Game. Shoot, I forget the name of it now. Game something.
Yeah,
Game Fanfare or something like that. Game Fan Score, Fanfare. I don't know. Do a YouTube search for it. We'll put it in the show notes. But he did a video about Pyre's music and just how, like, you're describing, like, each character has their own instrument that kind of becomes part of their theme.
Right,
and
you'll have drums when Joe Dariel's talking and a flute when Ruki's talking.
And they work that into, like, the rights when they're all together. The people that you have on the field, all of their instruments are in play, and they've even got it down to, like, these dynamic stems that kick in at certain events. So, like, when you take control of the orb, the spirit orb, like, there'll be more percussion that kicks in, or like hand claps or something like that.
Okay, that's fucking cool.
It's so cool. There's a video that breaks all of that stuff down, and it's like, it's one of the neatest things.
It's the same thing they did with Transistor, where it's got separate audio tracks that are all playing, but the game controls the volumes of them, so it'll turn one up and one down.
Yep.
It's really neat.
I guess they have like an actual composer on staff that works on this stuff from day one, and that really
Darren
shows.
Korb, he did the music for Bastion as well.
Which is another one of my favorite soundtracks for a game. It's so good. So yeah, that alone makes me want to finish this game. But
it's special.
Man, the dogs. The what are they called, Brian? There's like these punk rock dogs.
Yep.
And they've got just like this straight up punk, filthy ass rock music that plays, and it's so cool. Yeah. Anyway, play Pyre, guys. It's one of the best games of 2017. You heard it here first.
So why don't you play it, Tyler?
I'm gonna finish Pyre. I thought I was done with it, but it's that watching that video explaining how the music is done, along with Brian's description of how, like, touching the story is. I'm sold. I'm back on track. I'm gonna finish that game. So there you go. Kat, what about you? What did you like for music this year?
I chose Life is Strange before the storm. I'm not a huge soundtrack fan. I'm not a huge instrumental fan. I like music usually with lyrics, stuff I can feel. I'm not even huge on live music to listen to. I want to hear it in concert. So for me, it was um, Before the Storm because it had music I would typically listen to, but on a different scale, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I really kind of fell in love with the band Daughter, who did a lot of songs for them, and I gravitate to it. It's something that makes me feel something.
That's important. I had a lot of very fond memories from the first Life is Strange because of the music that was playing during those segments.
And it's very similar.
I totally get that.
Yeah, it's very similar music. And I literally, I have been listening, that's been the biggest thing on my playlist on Spotify right now, is the stuff from Before the Storm.
The links are in the Google Doc, Tyler.
Yep.
I don't know if you... Okay.
The Google
I know
Doc
you're juggling a lot
there. Yep. I'm getting them. It's coming. Don't you worry.
I know you got a lot of balls in the air over there.
A lot of balls over here. Yep. You got it. Too many balls.
Balls everywhere. Yep.
Frozen balls.
Frozen balls.
Yeah, no, Life is Strange is a lot. I don't know if Before the Storm is the same, but it's a lot of acoustic guitar, a lot of kind of melancholy. I don't want to use the word emo because that doesn't feel right. It's a lot of indie rock and
a lot of indie stuff.
Kind of ethereal sounding melodies and stuff. It's cool. There's a part in the first Life is Strange where Max picks up a guitar in her dorm room and just starts playing, and it'll just keep looping eventually. She'll play through a thing and just keep going and going and going. And I probably went through 3 different loops of that just because I was just that moment. I was so
quiet moments.
Yeah, it was.
They do that in Before the Storm as well, where you can just sit and listen to whatever track it is, and you can change. I believe you could change. You could pick what songs to listen to. So that's a.
Yeah, no, that was another time. Just hanging out in Chloe's room, you could turn on her stereo and skip through the stuff. So that's cool. Very cool. Let's see. I think mine's the only one left. It's good old Hollow Knight. Here you go, Luke. I didn't forget about it. Don't you worry.
It's about time. God.
Don't you worry. Man, the music in Hollow Knight is so good. It's a lot of real instruments. It's a fully orchestral soundtrack. It's another one of those cases where it perfectly matches the tone of the world in every place that you go. I can listen to the soundtrack while I'm at work and I can remember exactly where each one of the zones that the music plays is in because it just encompasses that world so well.
That theme that plays when you're at a bench.
Yep.
That mournful piano.
Yep.
It's wonderful.
I was hearing that in my sleep. I would, and part of this was because I'd stay up until 4 a.m. playing the game and then, stumble into bed with that still kind of being my mindset. But I remember waking up some days after being asleep and still hearing that same song in my head. And I was like, man, that's something for a game to stick with me that long and for such a long stretch of time.
The benches
so
are
cool.
like an oasis in that world. The benches are little safe zones in that world, and the music's a part of that.
Yep. And it's not all mournful. It's not all sorrow. There's some real
Hornets
real
theme
cool
song's
track.
real good.
Yeah, Hornets has a very airy
Jaunty.
string. It's a lot of strings. It's a very
Energetic. Yep.
Yeah, bouncy little tune. That was not what I thought it was. Okay. Yeah, man, just give the whole soundtrack a go if you get a second for Hollow Knight because it's something else. Okay, we're winding on down here, guys.
Do we have any idea of? I know there's been talk. when is it coming to the Switch? Because that's when I'm gonna pull the trigger on it and start
2018.
sink my teeth into it.
Soon.
It's 2018 now.
Soon TM.
I heard late 2017.
So did I.
December.
The last I heard was it was supposed to be like around October, and then I don't know. But Christopher Larkin, he's the guy that did the soundtrack for this. That's what I was trying to get out.
Does he know when it's coming to the Switch?
If we could ask him. Drop us a line, Christopher, at mail@questlawcast.com and let us know when we can pick up Hollow Knight on the Switch.
If you're watching, just go ahead and put it in the chat.
Yeah, put it in the chat there. We'll keep our eyes peeled. Oh, man. Well, let's talk about the best surprise. Luke, what was the best surprise for you?
Oh, the Switch actually being good.
The Nintendo Switch.
And even getting a Switch.
Yeah, that was nuts. We all managed to get Switch. Well, the three of us managed to get a Switch on release day. That's an achievement unlocked right there. That's a surprise right there.
It's like 4 hours before release, no intention of getting one, and then
We're standing in line like, Luke, I can get you a ticket for this. You just have to come. All right, I'm leaving.
Yeah, right. Putting pants on, I'll be there.
Was that based on? Had you seen Breath of the Wild gameplay?
Yeah, Whitwicks on Twitch got Breath of the Wild early and was playing it, and it was utterly phenomenal. So
That was a system seller.
yeah, I had to get it.
Yeah,
And
Switch is great.
No regrets.
Feels good. Feels.
And don't have a
like
ton of
docked
games for the
handheld.
Switch yet, but it's such a solid system, and being able to take it to work with me and show it off to everyone and play games and on the go, it's awesome. And I know we've mentioned it probably 100 times by now, but power on the Switch, press A, and you're instantly in your game again is phenomenal.
The Switch made me fall back because I think I was getting bitter about consoles and becoming sort of a PC master race kind of a person, or starting to lean that way. But that's really just because the Xbox One sucks, and the Switch made me fall back in love with the console, and Sony's made me console fanboy even harder with that PS4. Really, I just backed the wrong horse at the beginning.
I think it's a good reminder that games are the important thing when it comes to game consoles. Like, we're able to really appreciate the Switch despite its many, many flaws because they're bringing us AAA, awesome 10 out of 10 games. And even though there's only a couple of them, there's a ton of indie games that are also really good that are available on there too. And those things combined are worth way, and just the way the system does what it's promised to do is be a great thing to play games on. It's weird that that's a surprise. It's kind of unfortunate that that's a thing that's surprising to us, but at the same point, like, I totally agree. It's especially coming off the back of the Wii U, which was a big giant fat flop and a failure in every measurable category. To have them really knock it out of the park with this one is a very happy surprise.
We were not Switch fans when it was first announced.
Yeah, I remember thinking
correctly,
the name
we were
was
like,
real stupid.
like, we don't really know about this. It's a stupid, awful name. Oh, who's gonna take their Switch out and
we all
on the go?
We all laughed at the commercials with
a portable console is stupid.
Yeah.
No, then Tyler, you take yours with you everywhere.
Yeah, and the controllers are
so much so that he left it at work again.
Yeah, keep doing that. Hey, if anyone listening is working on Sunday, don't steal my Nintendo Switch. It's not in the top drawer of my desk.
I took mine on the airplane with me, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yep, I did that too.
Kickstand down, got my controllers out, my little Joy-Cons, and played some games.
Brian and I play it in the break room at work, and people come up and ask, "Hey, what are you doing?" There's usually kind of like a sneer, like, "Oh, you've got a video game thing?" And then they're like, "Whoa, you're playing like a real video game, like a whole." Like, I'm running around playing Mario on the thing, and people are like, "What is that?" It's pretty neat.
We took her camping and played Rabbids.
Yeah, played Rabbids.
I played Shovel Knight while camping
for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, for a whole 5 minutes.
For a whole 5 minutes.
Oh boy. Well, That one, that's my surprise too. Was the Nintendo Switch. I'm absolutely, totally satisfied with that thing. Kat, yours is a little different though. You got something in here about a guy named Frank. Frank is the biggest surprise of the year.
So you guys know all about Frank and Life is Strange, right?
I know that I straight up murked him the first time I encountered him by accident. I had to rewind a whole lot. Spoilers.
Was he the drug dealer?
Yeah. Do you remember how like
With the
him
dog?
and Chloe had a horrible relationship?
You shot Pompidou.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember.
I fixed
Sorry,
it.
go on.
I went back and fixed it. Don't worry.
In Before the Storm, Frank actually looks out for Chloe,
Yeah.
which I found really weird. And I wasn't sure how to like.
Most relationships start off great. There's a whole lot of caring and love and admiration.
Until you find out that Chloe's a terrible person and you don't want to have anything to do
She
with her
said
anymore.
3 too many hellas in a day, Kat.
Yeah.
Frank just had enough of that shit. Just kidding.
I wish the Frank that was in this one was the Frank that was in the original Life is Strange.
Well, you know what, Kat? I hate to break it to you, but that's the same guy. He just had to deal with Chloe's shit for so long. I'm just kidding. I get it. It's cool that they can show another side of that character and like have it be, hey, remember the almost villain from this one? Well, here he's not always such an asshole.
Yeah, it was like she would at the beginning she like, of course, does her Chloe stuff and kind of gets in the middle of a bar brawl and like Frank comes
# just
to her
Chloe
rescue.
things.
Yeah,
Yep. That's
it
cool.
was kind of neat to watch, and I still like. There's some unanswered stuff right now as far as like the Frank and Rachel relationship, but watching him look out for Chloe the way he did was just kind of really. It was very surprising. Like, where did this come from?
Next, you're going to tell me that David wasn't a insufferable prick.
No, David's an insufferable pair.
He was not. He actually, there were some pretty neat interactions between him and Chloe. Like, you could choose whether to be Chloe or to be nice.
That's interesting.
What are they doing? They're just undoing all of the pricks. I mean, you know what? This confirms
If
for
only.
me that Chloe's the real problem. That Chloe's the problem. All these guys are nice guys, and then Chloe comes along, and they're pricks. Chloe is the real prick.
David's
Nope.
not technically a nice guy. He's a
Don't
little
care.
bit too controlling, of course.
It's all
but
Chloe's fault.
you can either give a Chloe response or like a, no thanks, but, fuck you still.
Oh, man. One of the lines that I was just reading the subtitles, one of them was something about social media haters can eat a dick. Once again, # just Chloe things.
# just Chloe things, yep.
It's pretty
Oh
good.
my god. Okay, no, Elliot is one of the worst characters.
Fuck Elliot, confirmed.
Hmm.
Well, Crane,
Segue.
speaking of... No, I don't have a segue for this. This is a segue. Crane, what was your best surprise of
It's Golf Story.
Golf Story?
What is Golf Story, Crane?
It's a story about golf.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on.
Cat, it's on your Switch. Just play it. Just play Golf Story. And the reason this is the biggest surprise for me is I actually didn't even know that this existed. I didn't know this was a thing. I didn't know it was coming out. And, thank you, Brian, for being the swell guy that you are and saying that this might be a thing that I would like, because he was right. It's a thing that I love. And it nailed... It was right in my wheelhouse. For the type of game that I love to play. It was funny. It had those little RPG elements that I loved, those Mario Golf games on the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance, and this game just nailed that feel perfectly for me. And for it to just come out of literally nowhere for me and end up on my top 10, end up in my top 5 really, is shocking to me.
We're doing a lot of whipping golf balls into
Yeah.
one
What is
exact
it you
spot right now.
This person's just throwing golf balls.
What would you say it is you do here, Crane? He didn't throw balls.
I think he's trying to like. I really don't know what the hell he's trying to do. He's trying to hit that switch. I think that square thing in the middle there. He's trying
Is
to
this
hit
like
it.
the game where you know, like put all the quarters in and it pushes the quarters off the edge because they pile up?
No,
Is that
he's
what
just
it's trying to do?
he's just a dipshit and won't just hit a golf ball over there. That's all.
Okay.
I mean, I was just a dipshit who
Right,
wouldn't hit that golf ball over
What are you
there.
doing?
Because we record all our own stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, like you guys were all surprised with the Switch, and that was something that I pre-ordered it. I was high on it from the beginning. I had my doubts about it, but it was never something that I didn't expect to be at least something that I could have some fun with. It was better. It's better than I expected for sure.
Yeah, the writing was good. I didn't expect that.
But Golf Story is just fantastic.
Good stuff. Well, hey, our next segment is called "Fuck That Guy." And
Do you have theme music for this, Tyler?
why do you keep doing this to me? Why?
You're really bringing them down.
Why?
All right. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Pipe it in post, Brian. God.
I'll find something. Don't worry.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. There you go. There's your theme music for "Fuck That Guy." Kring, I don't think I even want to let you say "Fuck that guy" about your guy, but go ahead.
Fuck Rivali. Fuck that guy.
Fuck
He's
Rivali.
he's such a douchebag, egotistical prick. Makes it seem like you aren't doing shit and he's doing all the work when he's just farting around, flying and fucking things up, being an asshole. And here you are doing all the real work, saving. He's talking about how you're never going to be able to do anything, and then he goes and he fucking fails and dies. Yes, Brian.
Is this from Breath of the Wild?
It is from Breath of the
Okay.
Wild. Rivali is a birdman, and he's the
From a long
birdman
line of
champion.
Birdman. Yeah.
Yes, he's the birdman champion,
Bird person.
and yeah, the bird person champion, and he has this attitude of he's the best, he's the greatest. There's no reason that Link should be there. And we're all coming at this like, no, fuck you, we know Link. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. But he is constantly belittling Link and saying he's not going to be able to succeed. He's not going to be able to do anything. And then when you do succeed, it's like, oh, I didn't think you had it in you. This whole condescending tone that he takes with this. And then fuck him. Just fuck him. I hated him so much.
I'm with you. Rivali sucks. He's easily the worst of the champions.
Yeah.
He's a real bastard. That
The other champions like were nice to you and they had advice to give to you and they thought that hey, you're part of the team, and Rivali was just a dickbag.
I agree. Fuck that guy. What about you? What about you, Brian?
For me, it was 9S from Nier
Fuck that
Automata.
guy too.
A lot of it was just how he was voice acted. He was just kind of whiny and unlikable. Like, I don't know. He spends a lot of time. I don't know. I think he wants, to be his pants, but he doesn't want to admit it. And I don't know. He's just kind of patsy.
Jeff Gerstmann called him a fuck boy. I don't know what fuck
He's
boy is, but I think 9S is a fuck boy.
He's a fuckboy, and his story arc is interesting, but like the voice acting kind of keeps me from feeling too much sympathy for him. Like a lot of it's overwrought.
He's a fuck boy. It's fine. You can.
He's a fuckboy. 9S is fuckboy of the year, 2017.
All right. Well, 9S.
He's the guy. He's the guy who's completely oblivious of the fact that he's a machine when talking about the other machines, and that really is the thing that makes him a fuckboy to me.
Okay.
He's gonna rip on these
That
other
too.
machines, but like, no, you're a machine too. You fuckboy.
All right. You hear that, 9S? Fuck that guy. Luke.
Yes.
Who you got? Who's in your sights? Who's getting
It's
the-
not
who's
it's
getting
not
both
just
barrels?
one person, it's a collection of people.
Don't tell me it's EA.
It's
It's
EA.
EA. It's EA. EA's
For reasons that
logical-
we've discussed for much too long already today.
Yeah, I don't think we need to get. I think just listen to the rest of the show if you want to know why we're saying "fuck that guy" to EA.
Us and 750,000 roughly users on Reddit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most downvotes
All of
in
us.
history, Reddit history. Mine was I didn't have a like extremely specific one, but it's kind of Nintendo for doing this. They stuck a golden Lionel in the Master Mode DLC for Breath of the Wild. The golden Lionel's like the toughest enemy in the game, and they stuck him in the starter area of the Golden Plateau. So golden Lionel on the Golden Plateau, fuck that guy. That's what I'm saying. It's just an instant death thing. Like this thing just comes charging at you and kills you instantly. The moment you remember how the best moment of the game for me was like coming out of the cave and like seeing the world for the first time. When you do that in Master Mode, you're greeted with a fucking golden Lionel to try to find.
You're
And,
greeted with dying.
with death, with excruciating death.
Halfway through the camera pan, you die.
Pretty close to that. But man, yeah, there you go. That's our fuck that guy list for this year. And now it's time to wind down with our full list, our top 10 games of the year. And these are not necessarily in any order, but they are in a order, just as we're going to talk about them. Let's start off with number 10, Golf Story. Kring, Brian, you got to take this one away because Luke and I didn't play it.
Golf Story is probably the funniest game I've ever played. And I stand by that still. I played at the exact same time I was playing Golf Story. It was right around the same time that South Park came out, and I believe I stopped playing South Park to keep playing Golf Story because Golf Story was funnier, and I was laughing more at it. And that right there just sums it up for me. It was enjoyable. It was cute. It was funny. It was funny in an Owlboy sort of way, where like everybody shits on this guy, and even your coach is telling you what a piece of shit you are and how terrible you are at golf, and then you just go out and you win tournaments, and then they tell you it was all luck, and that sort of humor is something that I really dig.
Explains a lot, Kring.
Right?
I'm learning so much about you. Yeah, Golf Story looks neat. I think it's a cool game, and I was surprised it landed so well for you, but then again, not surprised with how much you like those Game Boy games and stuff. So that's cool. Number 9, we got Cuphead.
Take it, Tyler.
Cuphead's phenomenal, guys. It does everything it sets out to do. It accomplishes with more style and grace than anything I think I've ever played. It's.
I hear it has the best style.
Some would
It
say
does.
that. Some would say that
it
of all
does
the
have the
games
best
of
style.
2017, it might have the best. It's up there. It's certainly one of the top 5. It's a complete package for all the reasons we stated before. Cuphead is on this list for sure. We also have Divinity: Original Sin 2. And Luke, I feel like it's only right to have you tell us why.
Oh, voice acting, story, combat.
So much detail. Yeah.
There's a lot of game there.
There's a lot. 40 hours in, I haven't left the second act, and I'm going to be forcing myself to leave this area because I could probably spend another 10 or 15 hours there if I want to do every single little thing there.
Yeah, you can't play this game without missing things. Like it feels like you could play a second time through with a different character and have a very different story.
That right there alone is a reason why I think it deserves a spot on this list, is because there's been games that have said that they'll do that, but never games that like really pull it off very well. That your experiences with is always going to be different every time you play it, but it's never in a rewarding way. It's usually in a half-assed, cheap way.
It's impressive.
And
It's daunting. It's impressive.
And just the way that Breath of the Wild does their different system of elements and the way they combine them in a realistic manner, the same way this game does with their combat. If there's water on the ground, your characters will be wet and cold, and that will impact them. If you shoot electricity at the water, every character standing in that water is now shocked and stunned.
Yep. Another game where the systems all come together really well.
And you have to strategize. Some of these fights are like chess matches. You have to anticipate what they're going to do. You have to move your people into appropriate positions. You have to almost think a few turns ahead in what you want to do.
That's really cool. Definitely makes the cut. So does Nier Automata.
Tomatoes.
Auto Tomatoes, yes.
Yeah, that game's biggest accomplishment was its story. For me, and just apart from that, I love the gameplay, the way like it'll shift from being a shooter to being a 2D, side scroller to 3D action, to a top-down action game. It's got a lot of different combat modes, but it still keeps this like bullet hell kind of feel to it across all of them.
I've been able to play like the third person, shooter portions as like a twin stick shooter.
Where you're in a mech.
Even.
Yep.
And it's phenomenal. I've never played a game that kind of handles the way that this does and switches its gameplay modes the way that this does.
Yep. And it's got a hacking game that you'll come across later. The soundtrack is amazing.
I'm not quite as sucked into the story as I think you were by this, but I'm definitely drawn in by the gameplay, and that's going to keep me playing this game.
Yeah, make sure you see it through for the story.
Oh, I will.
It's worth it.
Just
all 3 times.
Yeah, the second playthrough is mostly the same as the first, but from a different perspective with some different gameplay because you're doing hacking. The third playthrough is totally different.
That's cool. Very cool. This next one is called Night in the Woods, and for all the reasons that we discussed already.
Have we talked about this game before?
Yeah, Night in the Woods. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but
it's the best written game I've ever played. Like it captures the feelings of being, a 20-something in a small town whose industry has left and everything's kind of falling apart. And like it manages to write dialogue without being overly snarky and shitty. Like they talk the way, I talked with my friends when I was that age.
They even take it as...
So they don't say hella?
They don't say hella.
Not a hella to be found. They take it as far as even like you can like instant message your friends at the beginning and start of the day on your laptop, and they've even nailed some of the same like grammatical and spelling errors that people would make, and like the fonts are kind of unique to the characters and stuff. Like the way the stuff is stylized. Like the game is so aware of its own tone and its own style, I guess.
This was my game of the year. This was my number 1.
It was high up there for me too, and it's more than just a game about sad cats who drop out of college. It's there's some real interesting stuff. It's extremely artistic, and it's definitely worth playing. It's a very small studio too. It's just a couple people and like a few extra animators and stuff. Like, not a huge game by any means, and it feels like it's super polished and super
very
well
personal.
thought out. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Next we've got Super Mario Odyssey for the Nintendo Switch.
Super Mario Odyssey is, if they took pure joy, just the feeling of joy, and turned it into a video game, that's Super Mario Odyssey. That's exactly what this game is.
Yeah,
it's happy and
pretty
fun
accurate.
and lighthearted, and everything.
Welcome in 2017.
Yes, yes, everything that you needed in this dark, dank world of shit.
Shit world.
These sassy ass wood forest robots that are doing this little dance, I fucking love that shit. When I first got onto this wood kingdom, that cracked me right up. I don't know why, but it's like, man, robots are having a good time.
I really needed a game where I could have Mario in a tuxedo with a sombrero on. Like, that was something I really needed in my life.
One of those things you didn't know you needed, but turns out you did.
It made me happy.
I think my only complaint with Odyssey is that it didn't really do anything new. It didn't push any boundaries.
Yeah, I would
fair.
say, you know, it's expected. It's kind of the Mario game we thought we were gonna get and got.
I can kind of see that. Like, they took so many gambles with Zelda. I can see them not wanting to do that with both of their big franchises because, you know, hey, like, even if Zelda didn't go over, we still got Mario coming later in the year. Like, if Mario and Zelda aren't successful, then we're having a different conversation about the Switch and about Nintendo right now.
Mhm.
You're right.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think there is enough new stuff there. Like I don't love Cappy as a as a continuation
as a
of Mario lore, but the mechanic itself lends to some really cool gameplay. Like being able to hat the fucking fish. What are they called? The I can't remember. Cheap cheeps. Yes, thank you. In like all of a sudden underwater doesn't suck because you can swim around and you can dive down and stuff. Like you can breathe underwater. That kind of stuff is really neat, and it makes you think about the Mario world in a different way. So,
And those 2D passages were excellent throwbacks. Like, I played
Those
Super
were
Mario
fun.
Brothers on the Nintendo when I was little, and like they really nailed the feel of, you know, just the jumping and that very distinct control.
You know what's funny is when I let my daughter play it, she kept getting to those parts and would hand the controller over to me, like, "Here, Dad, this is some old man shit. I don't know what's going on here, but please figure this part out for me so I can go back to trying to be a T-Rex." She's 4, so it's not like expect her to be hardcore into 2D mode.
Yeah, the assist mode was really great. You know, so my kid could play. Like they just kind of took out the frustrating bits, but left the core of the game in. And they also did away with lives and continues, which it's about time because that stuff's archaic and obsolete.
Yeah.
I got a chance to, because we went and stayed with some friends over Christmas, and their kids, they have 2 boys, 5 and 6, and they got them a Switch for Christmas, and they got them Super Mario Odyssey, and so I got a chance to get an in-depth look at how that assist mode actually works, and it's fantastic.
Great. Your health regenerates and you don't drown underwater.
These kids are not getting frustrated by this, and they're just having a blast playing the game, which is really the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the
Just
good
playing
parts
a
are still
game.
there.
Yep.
It doesn't feel nerfed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Next we
And
got
the speed runs are fantastic of it.
yeah.
Oh yeah, the way you
Oh.
move around in this game and what you can do for moving. Some of these speed runs are out of this world.
That's cool. Yeah, it
No,
feels like
Literally, they're at the moon.
Yeah, the moon.
But
Oh god.
hey, next we got What Remains of Edith Finch. Game that landed for 4 out of 5 of us. but
It was the best
exceptional.
comedy of 2017.
Yep.
It was the best. It was the best campground simulator of 2017.
You had to, didn't you?
Jeez.
You
Tyler.
had to.
Yep. There you go, guys.
Jesus,
You
Tyler!
are such a jerk.
You monster.
You couldn't have it be the opening part where Luke talks about all the great hammock spots. It has to be this.
This was the most heart-wrenching thing, and it's the best. And showing this won't give it away. So there you go. It's something you have to
Fuck
actually play and listen
you.
to experience. But yeah,
I love the design of the house. It feels like a Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah, it does.
Like it looks like The Life Aquatic, when they cut the boat in half and they show all the rooms. Like,
yeah. Yep. And everything has that kind of larger than life. Kind of also reminds me of Big Fish in a way. Like it's the grandmother in the story is kind of this real eccentric character and larger than life, and the house kind of emulates that. And it's just such a cool game. It's not long. Take you a couple hours to play through it, and it's worth your time. It's even if it doesn't hit you in the heartstrings like it did for us. It's a good experience to have.
mm-hmm.
For a large portion of the year, up until probably September, I thought this was going to be my game of the year.
Yeah, like I said, man, if only some good games came out this year. I had to pick through such garbage to get. Just kidding. Next, we've got Horizon Zero Dawn. We've said a lot about Horizon tonight. I think if we were going for like most categories, like most consistency here, I think Horizon might be at the top. Yeah. Don't fall over yourselves talking about it, guys who played this game. We've pretty much covered all the bases.
I think we covered that one.
Amazing graphics. It's got an awesome
Horizon
story.
Zero Dawn. It's fantastic. Tyler, get a PlayStation. Play it.
I need to get a PlayStation and play it.
Get a PlayStation and play it. Like,
I already bought a console in the last decade. So
yeah, I know.
Get a console.
That, honestly, can we go back to best surprise of the year and call it Luke bought a fucking console this year, guys. Luke, PC Master Race Phillips, bought a console.
And a Nintendo one.
That happened.
Holy crap.
There you go.
I'm gonna turn into a pumpkin.
We got two left. Hollow Knight.
I'm a little disappointed that Hollow Knight is number 2 and Horizon wasn't number 2.
Well,
These are in no order.
These are just kind of the order we're talking about them. They're not necessarily like we're not claiming that any of these are the number 2 or the number 3 or the number 1 necessarily for us, because I know it's different for each individual. But just in general, Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight was my personal game of the year. I absolutely love it. It came out of nowhere for me. Brian talked about it and said, like, hey, this looks neat. And I watched some guys play a quick look of it, and it seems pretty cool. And he tried it and was like, yeah, this is really good. And I was like, okay, whatever. And I heard it was coming to the Switch, and I'm like, I'll just wait for it to come on the Switch. I don't need that game. And Brian kept talking about it and being like, it's really, really good, though. I think you'd really love this. It's very special to me.
And then you're like,
Tyler,
okay,
you should play this.
And then didn't you? Okay, I'll dip my toes a little bit, but I'm not going to get too far into this.
Yeah, I got into it with the idea that I was just going to kind of dip my toes in, play a little bit of it. And
the
then
lies we tell ourselves, Tyler.
And then my first playthrough, I put 25 hours into and beat 95% of the game. Like, I got 95% completion on a game that you can finish at less than half. So that should tell you something. And I'm fully prepared to buy this on the Switch when it comes to that platform too, just to do it all over.
Which I looked up and it's supposed to be February 24th.
Oh shit. Mark your calendars, everyone. Hey, if Hollow Knight wasn't your game of 2017, make it your best old game of 2018 and pick it up on the Nintendo Switch, because it's worth every
if
dime.
you only have played it on the Switch, that would be best game of 2018.
Well, I mean, if you...
I'll allow it.
If this is Nom or something, sure, yeah, you can just...
Do re-releases? I don't feel like, okay, you know what? My best game of 2017 was Okami. There.
Ooh,
Oh,
that's a good
Too late.
it's too late.
This is
Yeah.
already made.
Yeah, this is in stone. This is on the books. And our last game...
The Google
is-
Doc is not editable.
You know what, Tyler? Is it on the books? Is it on the books? Because I don't feel like it is on the books anymore.
Live edits to the Google Doc. I see how you are. Anyway, Breath of the Wild. It's a little game, Legend of Zelda. You might have heard of it. There's horses. There's key swings. There's choo-choo jelly. Just get after all of that and play Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
electric
There are
choo-choo jelly.
fantastic shrines.
It
Frustrating.
tells me that's going to be the title of the the episode, Brian, is Electric Choo Choo Jelly.
It's pretty good.
I don't think The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is a perfect video game. I think it has lots of flaws. But I think the parts that it gets right, it gets so right, and it takes the whole franchise in a direction that it's never been since maybe the original game, that it makes it one of the best games of all time.
One of the best things it does is it doesn't lead you. It doesn't spend 2 hours leading you by the nose at the beginning like a lot of other Zelda games do.
I think there's a thing that Zelda gets caught, or previous Zeldas have gotten caught up in trying to teach you how to play the game and teach you, this is how Link jumps, this is how Link opens chests, this is how
I stopped caring about Twilight Princess.
shows,
I was done with the tutorial.
here's how you swing a sword with this little stick. And Breath of the Wild says, forget all that. Here's some tools, and here's the world. Figure it out.
Yep.
And I absolutely love it for that. So, there you go, guys. We did it. That's a wrap. That's the top 10 games of 2017. Well, it's been a long ride. It's been a long road, but we've done it. And I want to thank everyone who joined us in the chat, twitch.tv/questlogcast. We will be back next week to do this again. We're going to talk about all the best games of 2018. We're going to talk about what we've been playing. We'll get back to the normal show format. But if you want to reach the show and let us know what you've been playing or give us your feedback, you can do that at mail@questlogcast.com. And you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, everywhere. We're everywhere, man. We're all over the
MySpace.
Instagram. We got an Instagram now. Oh man, it's so good. Questlogcast. Find us there. That's gonna do it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you next week as we take a trip into the wild blue yonder of 2018. Good night.
Take care.
Tyler Everett. Fuck that guy.